Plat chat, episode 170. I don't know what to say, Scott.
This we've hit a new low. Honestly, we've hit a new low. It doesn't get lower than this.
We got the pro-am this weekend. I thought it was over. I thought the dark days of Plat chat were behind us, and here you and me are. Now, to be fair to Avast, I mean he's doing important stuff, and he got held up a little bit. So Avast will join us later. I don't know where Jaws is. He was awake this morning, and now he's not here.
He responded this morning. He was like, "Yep, good to go. Everything's good to go." And the man is MIA now. So
I don't even want to say anything bad about Jaws in case he's like seriously wounded or something. I don't know. Like what could possibly have happened?
We should check in on him. You know, let me DM him. Jaws, are you alive?
That's the first question to ask.
Yeah, just make sure. And once he's responded,
if he's alive, I don't give a fuck. Where the fuck are you, Jaws?
If he's happy, then if he's safe, then I'm really upset at him. If he's not safe, then we should check on him.
Did Johnny just wake up? No, I had a shower. Come on. A shower. I exercised this morning. I had a shower.
Wow. You're doing great.
Johnny just woke up. It's 10:30.
Me, the one who actually just woke up. Yeah, Johnny, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah. So yeah, I guess me and Scott are here, and we'll kind of ease into today's episode. If you're an audio listener, you're like, oh, fine, this is Johnny and Scott. But if you're a video watcher, I mean, we're missing half the crew. So we'll see how this goes. We have a few items to pick on though, Custa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of nice ones.
I was thinking pre-show banter doesn't really hit us hard when it's just the two of us chatting.
I think we just move on.
We skipped it. Maybe when Avast and Jaws join, if they ever do, maybe we go back to like.
Maybe this is why everyone's going to request a two-person podcast from here, just so that they don't have to deal with us talking shit in the intro for the first 30 minutes.
True. Maybe there's potential here. This is me and Custa. This is the pilot episode of a two-man podcast instead of four. You know, Plat chat would save a lot of money that way, because I'm just saying.
And then we could just call it like Wash Chat or something like that. You know, just get a pivot.
I mean, we have to get Avast in on that because he's pretty washed as well.
True.
Yeah. No, the three of us are pretty washed. F1 podcast? No, I don't think we can go there, Scott.
It's a boring season.
It was a pretty boring race.
Yeah.
There was nothing exciting about last week's race. Unless you're a Verstappen fan, but
yeah. Well, here's the thing: I fell asleep in like the lap 3, woke up. Spoilers: Verstappen finished second. Not even surprised. I'm like, and Perez winning. I'm like, okay, there we are.
Dude,
don't need to watch the race.
I mean, this is becoming an F1 podcast now. It was so funny actually watching it, because if you're the broadcast team, and like because I've worked in esports and on broadcast for so long now, when I watch sports broadcasts, I kind of watch it like from the lens of the crew and like the commentators and like understanding what goes into it. Yeah. And so they have their storylines, and they're they're hyping it up, and they're building up energy, and you can hear when the commentator is kind of just like waiting for something to happen, and then they build up to the moment. And so it was just hilarious when like Verstappen was like fighting his way through the field, and they just like do this close up zoom in, and they're like, and now approaching Esteban Ocon, Verstappen close behind, and he just like activate like DRS or whatever it's called, and he just like fly past, and the commentators were like, well, that wasn't much of a fight. He just drove past him. Yeah, so it was as boring can be. I felt bad for the crew.
Yeah, I feel bad. It's gonna be a hard season.
Yeah.
Could be worse. You could be in Overwatch with a two-person podcast. It's supposed to be a four-person podcast. But hey, you know what? We all have our demons.
I mean, just thinking about it, most podcasts that I listen to, they're generally like two-person podcasts, and they do a pretty good job. So, I mean, there's more pressure on us to be funny, Custa, but I think that we can live up to it. I think we can put on a pretty good product.
Okay, I'm in. I'm ready. Let's do it. Just full dive, full send. Overwatch. Yeah. Let's go.
All right. So we'll dive into a few Overwatch topics then to kick off today's episode. Not a lot happened this past week, surprisingly, because we're going into the Pro-Am. I was like, oh, we're going to build up all the excitement and the drama, and it's going to be a great week. And nothing really happened, I suppose. The Houston Outlaws, they officially added Gargoyle to the team, which we've already talked about. And so I was like, well, I guess we have to address it, but...
Did you talk about last week? Because I wasn't here when I think you talked about it, so I can give my takes.
Yeah, you weren't on last week. So the Houston Outlaws, they officially added Gargoyle because this team was missing an off tank of sorts. I've noticed that some people in the community, they've really, at this point in Overwatch, they've really started to dismiss the terms main tank and off tank. They're like, there's no thing as a main tank and an off tank. There's only tanks now. But I'm like, okay, well, how do you describe what they specialize in? Because it's clearly a different specialization, whether you're like a Winston Reinhardt player or you're a Diva Sigma player, as in Gargoyle. So yeah, Houston Outlaws, they run out their tank line. They had Fearless, of course, and now they're adding Gargoyle. Custa, initial thoughts about bringing back Gargoyle after he essentially missed a couple of years here now, I believe, of Overwatch Esports.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting signing because to me, this screams like we want Fearless to be the primary tank, but they're probably realistic in being like, it's going to be hard for Fearless to ever play all of the tanks. I agree with the Reddit take that over time, main tanks and off tanks are just going to turn into tanks, and the best tanks in the world will be very flexible at everything. But people aren't really there right now. We have never seen Fearless play on a team where he hasn't had Hanbin behind him to sort of cover in all those bases, especially in Overwatch 2. So I like signing someone else. Especially Gargoyle, you said he hasn't played since, let's go to Wikipedia. He hasn't played since the end of 2021. I don't believe he went back to contenders. He just sort of moved on. But he probably signed on a pretty low contract. Houston's kind of like, hey, you're going to be in to play, Sigma if we really need it, or like Diva if we really need it. But for the most part, I expect them to lean on Fearless. And if you need 6 players, right, they have Pelican Happy, which are pretty well-rounded, and then Shu and Violet, which are really well-rounded as well. So I think off-tank is probably the role I wanted to see the most added. And I think Gargoyle really fits that bill. Yeah.
So there are a few different directions you could go with this pickup. There's some interesting questions looming here. So I wanted to get your take on this because it's definitely been a topic within the community as this signing was revealed, is that Gargoyle hasn't played for a couple of years now, and his 2021 season was actually pretty disappointing with the Florida Mayhem. Now, I said last week that I don't think that's necessarily Gargoyle's fault, because that team was like an absolute mess when they lost Fate in 2020. And instead they had OG as their main tank. And then OG went to Korea and they had to play Checkmate Reinhardt. I'm like, if you're Gargoyle, you're like, well, I mean, come on, guys. Like, what do you want me to do? But I wanted to ask you about sort of at least this later generation of players, not necessarily like 2017, not even 2018, but like the crop of players who peaked in 2020, 2021, 2022. Do you think that they can more easily like pick up the game after a while and still like be at their peak? I feel like the game hasn't really evolved too much. I mean, we've gone to 5 versus 5, but like I expect the way I'm thinking approaching Gargoyle here is he's shown some really good moments in 2020. And I don't think, it's my personal opinion, I don't think that he would like struggle much in a good situation with a good team to like really get back to his A game, or at least close to his A game, because the game hasn't evolved too much. Where do you sort of stand on that? Do you think that even the crop of players from like 2020, 2021 would like struggle to be good in 2023?
I think this is really the crux of the Boston Uprising conversation as a whole, right? Yeah. Of like, it's kind of that where you have pretty much, Boston is a bunch of players who really peaked in 2020, 2021, had their best seasons. Obviously there are exceptions. There are different players, striker, et cetera, et cetera. But for the most part, these are older players who have had, massive peaks in the Overwatch League. The question becomes, how good are they going to be when they get put into a new structure and they're sort of expected to be these veteran players? historically we've seen some veteran players just can live on forever, and you know what their baseline is going to be. Like Prophet, right, has been around forever. He's still doing it and he's still popping off. But some players, they just like gradually fall off, and I think that's usually due to just incentive and the grind set in a way of like, do I want to be the best player? Do I want to, want to win a champion? Oh my God, one of them's alive. We're joined by a third person of us. Hello.
Hi, I was supposed to be here 30 minutes ago, but my meeting ran over. So.
Yeah. I've already clarified that you're excused because I actually bored my business.
Yeah, I don't know what Jack's doing. Fuck that guy. I'm honestly tired of his tardiness. What topic are we on? We're on Gargoyle?
Tuesday. Okay, we haven't gone very far.
We did say at the start of the show, we don't want to say anything bad about Jaws in case he's like dead or something. Because that'd reflect pretty poor in the podcast. But
I mean, like, okay, yeah. I'd still, if Jaws is dead, if Jack is dead, we're all going to be very, very sad, and this will look really bad. But at the same time, we're very good friends with Jack, and I would hope in his memory he would understand if we said fuck Jack. So I would think that he would still like to be honored in that manner.
All right.
So
good. We got that out of the way. But
I'm here. Okay, Scott, finish your point. I'm ready to go.
We're essentially just talking about like old players and like signing old players. Like Gargoyles are one of those of like peaked back in Florida Mayhem in 2020. Like, is he going to be good? I think you know what you're going to get from Gargoyle. And that's what the value of signing these like older players is. I don't think Gargoyle is going to come in and suck. But I also don't see Gargoyle hitting a massive peak and being that defining player for the Houston Outlaws. So I think it's fine, and I think it's filling in holes, but it's not exciting to me that they signed Gargoyle compared to if they signed some of these other off tanks. Like if they signed Void instead of the Shanghai Dragons, I'd be popping off right now. But Gargoyle is just fine in my eyes.
Yeah. So
I want to pose a question as well on the alternate signings. What if they had signed Fury?
Well,
Fury was kind of lately, and that's it. And let me put respect on the name. Fury is probably one of the best off tanks to ever play the game in the Overwatch League, right?
Top 3 ever, I'd say.
Yeah, top 3 ever. He was pretty last year, and you can say that's relative to the team he's on, but he was
Yeah, I mean, but you could make. I'm just saying from the Gargoyle perspective. Gargoyle had one really good year. Fury's had multiple good years, and Gargoyle also hasn't played. And Gargoyle's also had a bad year and a year where he hasn't played, while Fury's still played and just had mad years. So, when you stack that up, would you take Fury over Gargoyle? I personally still think, overall, I would have rather taken Fury over Gargoyle if you were to give me another alternative, But
yeah, I'd probably also do that, but simply because I'm a Fury simp. So.
But do you think there's an idea that comes in here with like the price tag? I feel like Fury, just because of everything we've said, probably comes in with a much bigger price tag than Gargoyle does.
Yeah, that's a very strong possibility. Yeah. So that I'm unsure what their agents are asking for, what they're asking for as individuals, but that's definitely part of it for sure.
Yeah. Guess how old we're doing Overwatch trivia. Guess how old Fury is.
25. I think he's surprisingly young considering how we consider
I think
him.
I think he's probably younger than that. I think he's probably 23, maybe 24.
You're right. He's 23.
Yeah.
Wow.
Born in 99.
Fuck. Everyone was like 18 running around in 2018.
Yeah.
Now that
I wasn't. I was sure as hell not. 2018, man. I was 22 in 2018. Good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
So in season 1, Fury was 18 years old. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Because he
and now we finally have Sugar Free and like Rhino and stuff potentially if Rhino actually is joining the league.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I've told this story before, but when Infected, he's going to be playing in the Pro-Am for, I think it's Saints, one of those teams. I played one of the experimental tournaments with him, and he was like, yeah, I remember being in primary school. I think it was like 8 or 9 when Overwatch came out, and I was like, oh man, my heart. Like,
wait, Infected is 16?
Yeah, he's 16. He's a child. And yeah, so like I played with him like 2 years ago, and they're just these kids that have like been in the game and we've watched them go
to play. I thought it was 17.
You're allowed. For the Pro-Am. For North America, you're able to play if you're under,
because they don't 17. Have to, because they're not able to join into the Overwatch League on like the Eastern teams.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, so. Got it. That would be hilarious if a 16-year-old just like went on to win the Pro-Am or something. Oh well. Yeah, I mean, going back slightly to our conversation, like I don't expect DM, you know, funnily enough, he's a freaking support player now, but I wouldn't expect him to be like come out and like ever get back to his A game when it comes to like Widowmaker and hitscan and stuff like that. But I do think certain roles, main tanks, main supports, you know, if they were good in like 2020, 2021, I'm not going to like discredit that they'll ever like make it back, because I really do think that like if you have the experience of being a pro player that far into Overwatch esports existence, then you probably know like what goes into improving your game and how to be good and what makes a great team and stuff like that. And I think you can kind of reasonably make it back. So I'm not counting out Gargoyle, despite it seeming that some people in the community are like, oh, well, he sucked in 21, so this is an awful signing and he'll never get back to his game. I'm like, oh, we'll see. We'll see. Next up, I wanted to cover this as well because this was a pretty big news item this past week as well. Along on Spitfire, they had to make a statement along with Hadi and Skairipa after some of their scrims leaked with comms, where Hadi and Skairipa, they made some kind of rape joke within the communication on the scrim as well. Very poor look. Not at all something that I would like to see. Quite horrible, to be honest. But all parties addressed it pretty quickly and explained that this is something they don't stand for. And Hadi as well covered it as someone who won the Dennis Havelka award, and how this is very disappointing because, you know, he was incredibly proud of winning that award as well. So a huge yikes moment, to say the least here, and something that we all don't want to see in the Overwatch community. It's pretty disappointing in that regard. Did you read the statements at all? It kind of went a bit under the radar, I must see. So I'm not blaming you guys if you didn't read.
Yeah, I read
the statements. Okay, yeah, you did.
I don't know. You want to go first, Avast?
I mean, I'll go first. I mean, essentially, I think London did their due diligence. Scrims got leaked. They made a statement, and both players apologized. Right? That's like the bare minimum for what you expect from something like this. I think from the severity of it, I don't know personally on a severity level. I think it's perfectly acceptable. This would be a moment where I would have been okay potentially with a player being fined, but the league hasn't started, so like it's not something that's capable of doing them that thing. I don't think it's enough to be like I think they should immediately be removed because as someone this is part of the, and a lot of it when we talk about like the environment around games and such, and we all I know can attest to this. Games, especially when we were younger and when we were growing up as kids, and just historically, people grew up in very insular bubbles, and the community was far more toxic and accepting of certain mannerisms that are acceptable in real life a lot of the times, and like especially in professional settings. So I know now obviously I'm an adult now. I've been an adult for a long time, but when I was like 13, 14 and really started getting into competitive games, statements like you heard in that clip were thrown around very casually in my online matchmaking games, in like Team Fortress 2 and Call of Duty, you know, even in Overwatch when I started playing like in like 2016, like they were thrown around very, very casually a lot. And when I'm a young guy, I didn't understand the severity of those words when I was really young. And as I got older and got like 18, 19, you know, started to actually become an adult, I realized like a lot of that stuff wasn't acceptable. And it's not necessarily that I participated in it, but also like I was constantly exposed to it and like normalized that it was like acceptable. And I think for a lot of these guys, we forget how young they are. I think Hadi and Skairipa are probably still like early 20s, maybe like pretty young still in the grand scheme of things. And they've grown up in a gaming bubble and in communities that haven't really, and still a lot of times are, you know, perpetuating that this is good. This is behavior is normal and acceptable. And I think this is a learning moment more so than it is like, I need them gone from the league moment type of thing. So that's how I view it. Though I do find it excessively heinous that there was a lot of people in response to the statement being like, yo, everyone's so soft these days. And I'm like, regardless of anything else here, this is a scrim. This wasn't like a private comm or anything. This is what you consider, you're in the office. You're working. These guys are clocked in. Would you go to your office and make a joke like this? Would you clock into your job when you're like a barista or something and say this to your coworkers? You wouldn't. You wouldn't say that. And like, that's more so than anything else, more so the moral arguments behind it. Would you make this sort of conversation at your place of work with your fellow employees? And the answer is no. That is not acceptable in any professional workplace. So that to me is the end all be all of it. But I do think that this is like, I'm glad that they made statements and they're hopefully evaluating themselves, because I still think they're very young guys that probably grew up in communities and online, which perpetuated the normalcy of this sort of language. And it's not that they support it. It's more so they don't understand and not mature enough where, to realize why it's wrong currently.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Avast said it very well there, right? Like the whole thing, to me, it's just disappointing. And obviously you're going to have people in the community who are just gonna be like, oh, this is just video games. This is the way it is. Like, that shouldn't be the norm. That shouldn't be something that we just like accept. And I think over the last, 10, 15 years, as you said, Avast, that was very common 10 to 15 years ago. But like, we're getting to a point where it's not okay to say that stuff. And people are starting to hold people more accountable. And you need to lead from the front. When you're a professional in the Overwatch League, you are signed to a contract, you are getting paid, you are held to a higher standard, and you need to set an example that saying this kind of stuff just isn't okay. There's no reason to say it. We're not edgy kids anymore, and we need to make a better example for the edgy kids growing up.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, what you said as well, Avast, because I mean, this is something I've talked about before, because it has happened a few times in the past as well, and this is something I've said on the podcast before. Like, I had the same thing growing up, where I come from like in the middle of nowhere in Sweden, and when I grew up and I was in my like early teenage years, like some of my friend groups, they would use some like pretty heinous words, and with not only like this stuff, but like very vulgar other things too. And I guess that group like didn't spend time with people that like actually they didn't realize that like words can actually like hurt people, and they never like got the opportunity to learn that like, hey man, like you shouldn't say that stuff. And so it was a pretty like bit of an epiphany moment, like when I got out of that group and like I moved on in life, and like I moved away from that group, and like I got new friends, and I was like, wow, like I can't believe like these people say these things. I can't believe like this is how like they go about their day. And so I think this is an opportunity to, like, going back to this statement and the tweets, like this is an opportunity for not only the players to learn the impact their words can have, but also set an example for like other kids out there, fans out there who are following these players or following these teams, that like, hey, this is not okay. Like you can't say stuff like this. Because a lot of the time I find that younger kids, they need like a wake-up call. They need like a wake-up from people they respect, that like, hey, like you can't say stuff like that, for them to realize that like, okay, well, I understand now. Like I can't just use these slurs. I can't use these words, and I can't apply these different words, right? And to grow up and to like get rid of those words, if that makes sense. So I hope that this is an opportunity for the players to learn, but also for fans to realize that like, if you are someone who constantly use these words, that like, hey, this is not okay. Like, and we said, like, I hope we can set a good example here.
I think that's the
statement, the story.
I think that's the important thing that people need to take away from this. It's like, no one's asking for, their heads, Skairipa or Hadi's heads. Like, it's kind of like a warning. But like the thing you need to take away with this, if you're just like, this is just the way things are, people say these words all the time, that is a terrible argument for why this should be fine, right? And that like that, it's about changing that sense and just sort of being complacent and just being like, oh yeah, it's fine. Other people say it, why shouldn't they be able to? Is just like, that doesn't even make sense when you even speak it out like that.
Yeah, especially because it's like, at the end of the day too, these are professionals. You don't go into work and say this, like, more so than even the moral arguments against it. It's like, you literally cannot say this to anyone in any office setting ever, or else you will be immediately fired. So like, just be aware. Everyone that's arguing, I'm sure most of you MFers are jobless in 16, but like, like that's like, just like, come on.
Yeah. If there's anything that I kind of enjoy about, wow, I can't believe I started this rant, because it must be horribly wrong. I was about to say that, like, for the most part, like, most people in the Overwatch community are like pretty cool, and like, Overwatch is this like happy, fun game with like, very, very fun and inspiring characters and all this. And I feel like for the most part, like, when it comes to treating others with respect, we do a pretty good job. So I hope that we can continue this and make people better in that regard. I started getting like flashes of like Overwatch or Reddit and stuff in my head, and I was like, "Is this right, Johnny? Like, are you saying that? Is this really the right thing to say?" But yeah, I'm glad they made the statement, and I hope the players can reflect on what they said. Moving on then, an opportunity for Avast to maybe mold. Maybe we should all mold, or I don't know what your opinion on this is going to be. The Overwatch League Pro-Am groups were announced. And that was pretty much it.
I feel like Avast about to come in from the top rope on
so
this
the tournament
one.
starts in a couple days, but I don't know where to watch it. That's all I'll say.
Here's what I'm just gonna say. This I don't have. I'm just gonna say they put it on the website. It is on the Overwatch League website. So first I'm gonna lament. I am so sad Over.gg is dead. That's my first thing I'm gonna lament. Over.gg being dead is a tragedy that cannot be understated, because no one wants to fucking go to your website. And I'm sorry, Overwatch League. You guys have honestly, the website has improved so drastically. Exception. It really is like not a terrible website anymore. It's like it's relatively easy to navigate. There's far worse products out there. But like Over.gg already has a perfect format. It has the perfect format for when you're a fan of an esport. And like same thing with like VLR.gg and TF.tv before that. Like that HLTV style format where you can see all the matches, see the groups, like go quickly through the events, but it's dead as fuck. So like there's nothing to do that. So you have to go through the Overwatch League website to get news or be a Redditor. And both of those, at least one of those, is potentially a terminal illness. So like that's like, I don't know, like this is a very big problem for a lot of people. And so I just think that the lack of transparency and visibility is a big issue. But I don't know, it's not really easily solved unless you make an even more digestible Overwatch League match page, because Over.gg is dead. And that's like potentially is the issue. But even still, that's no matter how well you make your website, very few people will go to it. Typically, is the unfortunate truth. Not doing words, fucking broadcast is truly it's just truly mind blowing. But I'm not in charge of the details. I've applied for co-streaming rights, by the way. I don't know if anyone saw. Sean Miller, I made a tweet when I thought my illness had been healed, but it hasn't been healed. But the American healthcare system. Oh my god!
Is here.
Holy
from downtown.
Oh damn! They were listening.
Look, listen. That now we can dunk on him. He's not dead. Let's
Bro,
go.
Are you in winter time or something?
Sorry.
Did you forget to set your clock?
No, dude, I wasn't. No, it wasn't. The fucking internet was fucky, and then we had a power trip, so that was epic.
Oh.
Hello, what's going on, everybody?
We thought you were dead.
Yeah, we're glad you're not dead, because
back.
we said some insensitive things. You know,
Oh,
it could
really?
have been bad.
Oh,
Well, I mean, the thing is, I don't know what your opinion is, Jack, but like, don't you think that like we're allowed to be sad after you're dead, but like we're allowed to say fuck you for not showing up to recording, and then
Yeah, that's
because
fine.
and then if it turns out you're dead, we'd be like, man, that really sucks. But like, I feel like Jack would want us to tell him to go fuck himself.
flame him,
yeah,
his
no,
memory.
that'd be. I'd do the same for all three of you as well. So
There we go.
that's
See?
okay. Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah,
It's
well, anyway,
perfectly
what's
fine.
going on, everybody? Welcome to Plat Chat episode number 158. What? No, what are you guys talking about?
Just making up a number.
I don't know the number. It's 170.
170.
170.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ,
yeah.
how time flies.
Yeah.
Hello, sorry.
I can't
for
believe
being
you've done
late,
this
my bad.
podcast for more than 3 years.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Have I?
It is.
Well,
Not you,
I have,
specifically.
at least.
Oh, I was going to say.
John. Technically, none of us have, other than Johnny. Johnny's the
Yeah,
only one
well,
that's been
that's
there
true.
from the inception.
Yeah. At
So,
some point, I'll
we're
hand over
discussing
the
Pro-Am.
mantle. I'll let Jaws be CEO or something, and he can continue the
Finally,
Plat Chats.
CEO.
Yeah. he can
I'll run it
continue
into the
Plat Chat
ground, bro.
brand.
I'll siphon the money and then run it into the ground. Don't worry about that.
Let's. I think that'd be really funny. Let's do like a Bitcoin. Let's do like a crypto rug pool on Plat Chat where we steal all the money.
I'll sell
Guys, we're
platform.
releasing a token. Money tag the Plat. You'll have access to
That
fan activities.
BitConnect.
Yeah. Q&As.
Do you remember that?
We'll
Remember the
sign
guy
over
with the
the
BitConnect guy?
signatures. Yep. Well, we're not releasing
doing
a
Pro-Am.
Ponzi. I promise. We'll never go
Hello,
Ponzi. But
yeah.
there we go.
Have you heard about Pro-Am, Jaws? Have you
Yeah.
heard about it?
You know what? I haven't actually. It's you know, the information has been sparse, so I'm actually glad they're putting out information. That's nice.
Yeah.
Good shit
So-
all around. It'd be cool if we have rosters. Did anybody mold about that yet?
No, we still don't know the roster of New
Well,
York
to be
LA
fair,
Valiant and-
they're not required to ever announce them. correct? They
Until
just have to
April
have
27th.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like essentially until the official. There's like an official date, and like they just have the people signed, and they don't have to actually announce anyone
Yeah.
until like April. What was it, 27th, Scott?
Well, I don't even know if they have to announce. I'm pretty sure you can just.
Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think they have
that's
to
a
announce
team.
anything.
But
It's just
how
they have a
the
roster
fuck
deadline.
Are we in a position where teams are
That's
not even
fucked up.
doing the effort to announce their roster? Like,
Because-
what are we doing?
Well, like we all know what's like going on at Valiant, right? Like it's not shocking to anyone at this point that this is what they're happening.
Well, we don't
Come
really know
on.
what's happening at Valiant, but
yeah, well,
you know.
yeah, but like
we can
you know,
guess.
Yeah, we can guess, and you know, we can intuit from what happened last year, right? So it's just like I don't know. We don't need to just shit on the league even more. We've talked about this shit forever. Like it just really sucks that we're in this position that we have official play in 2 days, and it feels like we have no information on the league. We have no consistency in rosters. We barely have announcements. People don't even know where they can watch, when they can watch, like how they can watch. Like, are we getting drops? Is there any hype going on? No one's promoting anything. Like, why would you watch this? Unless you're a diehard Overwatch League fan, why would you watch the Pro Am?
The most egregious part of that is that we don't know where it's streamed.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally saying, hey, you want to come to my birthday party? Oh, I'm not going to tell you where it is, though. I'm not going to fucking tell you.
See you there, man.
Bro, like, how has that not been announced yet? Unless they're currently 2 days before the program starts, currently in a deal or like negotiating with a platform, but like that is also kind of egregious, and they've left it way too late to kind of do that or like settle on something. I think that is the most egregious factor. If this happens to the league too, where the league,
Well, this is the league pretty much,
No,
right?
well,
Pro Am is
no,
the
no.
league in a way. It's not obviously it's not the league, but it
Sure.
is.
But okay, but like it definitely, I agree. But like the actual regular season, if this happens as well with the regular season, where we just don't have any news on talent, rosters, where it's being streamed, drops, all that kind of bullshit, then dude, the biggest fumble of all time, like, bro. I just find it.
I mean, I
Yeah.
will say, I guess as we're talking about this, like communication is like, I just want to like separate it from like the format and the competitiveness of the league and like the structure of the league and like how it's ran, because I mean, what we're talking about is like communication issue, like
Everything else is fine. Everything
the season could kick off and like the
There's
broadcast could be amazing and like wow, this is so much opium.
The
Jesus
Pro Am's
Christ.
going to be
But-
probably going to be great, right? Like it's
Yeah,
it's probably going to
exactly.
be a fun tournament.
Yeah,
but it's just
exactly.
like
so
it could be better.
Yeah, like
the
the Pro Am,
communication
the Pro Am
aspect.
might be like one of the most fun tournaments in years, and like contenders teams versus our teams, and like the spirit will be there, and like it will be a super fun tournament. So I don't think any of us are like upset at like this prospect of this tournament. I don't think we're upset at all about the quality of this tournament and how fun it might be. We're just questioning like the missing information and communication as it relates to putting on a successful product, because we know that like fans want access to this information, and quite frankly, like to build hype. Like this is something we're proud of. Like we're Overwatch fans, and like we're proud of the Pro Am. We want people to be aware of the Pro Am. We want people to enjoy our esports because we're fans of this entire space, and like we can't promote it ourselves because they're not promoting it. You understand what I mean? And so I don't know.
I've logged on to Plat chat and I'm already mad. Like, it's crazy. Maybe
I mean, there is. You should be mad. You should
Maybe
be mad
I
over
shouldn't have
this.
come on
Yeah.
because I'm just pissed. Like
This is fucked.
The hype going into this season with the format and like, oh, we're integrating contenders. It's going to be fucking sick. There are contenders teams.
It is
playing
gonna be
Overwatch teams,
sick.
which yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's going to be fucking wicked. But the problem is
Wicked.
that people just don't know shit apart from that. And it's just like there has been no hype videos. There's been a couple of social media posts, obviously,
Is there a start
with Twitter
date?
and shit. But like,
Do we have the official start date is the
Okay.
27th for the league, 23rd for this, but we don't have any other. Like literally, they're
just
essentially shadow
anything
dropping the
else.
league. They're just shadow drop. They're literally stealth
It is-
dropping it. This is Apex Legends for Overwatch
Yeah,
League right now.
give us fucking hype videos like 3 weeks before, like leading up, or like something small, like gameplay videos from like last year or contenders, like mixed in, and like just videos to put on the timeline, put on the fucking YouTube channel that's probably been there for a while. Like Just small little nuggets of like, oh shit, the league's coming up. It should be fucking hype.
Usually there would be a VO of someone talking about, here's what you have to look out for. 4 groups of 5 teams, and these are the things you have to look out. We're going to be streaming here on this date, and it's going to have some cool graphics and a little bit of hype. Like, it feels like it's already too late if they have produced something like that, because we're not generating hype. And then, obviously the elephant in the room, and Johnny, I don't know if you want to talk to this, of like, there is a thing that has come out recently that I didn't even think about until it came out, of like, the teams also aren't generating hype. Like, none of the teams are tweeting about it. And, there is speculation of like why that could be, because of that, the lawsuit shit going on. We have no context of whether or not that's true. But the truth of the matter is, regardless of that rumor, is teams aren't hyping it up. So if the league's not hyping it up, the teams aren't hyping it up, nothing is being announced. Why? Of course there's going to be negative hype going into this tournament.
Yeah, there's a tweet out there from someone who's been part of the community recently and leaking some things and stuff like that. I don't want to bring up the tweet because it's so unsubstantiated. Is that the word?
Yeah.
And I don't want to promote that on the podcast necessarily, because we do still have some integrity, believe it or not.
Nopers, no integrity, nopers.
But it is interesting if you go to some of the team pages, like there's no promotion or talk about the Pro-Am at all from the teams either, which is also...
Well, Outlaws put out a tweet technically today, I believe. Outlaws put out a tweet saying, they put a meme saying, it's the kid with the suit being like me showing up to work, and then Overwatch League Pro-Am, me dressed up as... That's the first bit of promotion I've seen from any Overwatch League team about the upcoming... And also, actually, I'll take it back. I think Outlaws... They might be one of the only teams in general I've seen tweeting about the upcoming season of the professional video game that they have paid money to participate in.
And they've amassed an incredible roster. And they genuinely seem like they're dude, they don't give a fuck about like banks going down and everything. They're just like, yo, let's do this Overwatch League thing. This seems lit. And I'm just like, thanks, Outlaws. You guys are great.
So I don't know if that's something on Outlaws where they're just the hypercope team, or like this is like something else on the legalese side, because I've heard the same things when it is very interesting. Of like, is this like a legal matter? But like, who knows? We obviously don't have the exact full context on that, but it's still a major issue. By the way, Jaws, to answer your question, the last video the Overwatch League YouTube uploaded, it actually is more active this offseason than it was in any other offseason, to be fair.
Oh, okay.
Looking at it, it actually was. It wasn't all like... It wasn't all like amazing content per se, but like they definitely had like your Overwatch at the beginning. They had highlight matches from matches throughout the season and comms. They released some like happy holiday stuff. A fifth season review.
Month.
The last month they've had the community update. They've had the proper highlight vid. They've had the all-time greatest hits of the Overwatch League, and the most recent was the farewell diffusion video 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so not as bad as I initially thought. But
It's bad, but it's not awful.
None of those actually pertain to Pro-Am.
No,
which is
nothing pertains to Pro-Am.
Yeah. Starting like, yo, Pog, like, dude, they normally get like talent and shit to do VOs. I don't give a fuck who does it. Get Johnny Sins for all I care. Just do some sort of like, this is the Pro-Am. We're like going in. There's contenders teams. There's Overwatch League teams. Proper versus fucking tree. Like shit like that. Just small bits of hype, because that's what generates excitement around the league and makes people want to tune in, like you guys are saying.
Yeah. Also, they still haven't generated any content at all about like off-season. Like, there's still no off-season content about like helping keep track of rosters ever on the Overwatch League channel to like help fans that keep track of that. So
there's probably a good fucking reason for that, and that is probably something to do with the fact that most 99.9% of talent, or like almost all of the talent people who do those videos, who like, oh, this is the roster, for maybe this team is picking up this player, we're not signed. So them doing content and like, who is going to be actually in those videos? You know what I mean? Is it just going to be the text-to-speech lady, like the fucking TikTok AI voice? Like, fuck no.
Well, they could always just do, a contractor method and pay someone per a video.
No. That would be ridiculous.
Exactly. But would they do that? No, probably not.
That's an option per se. But it is mind-blowing across the board. Like, more so than the Overwatch. Like, No one knows where this league currently exists. No one knows. I applied for co-stream rights for the Overwatch League. I don't know where my rights are going to be. I don't know what my rights are going to go to for the Overwatch League. So like, and so like, who, like, I don't know, like, we'll just see like across the board what occurs with that. But like, we don't know the rosters because no one's required to announce them. Obviously that's like a team issue as much as it is a league issue, if not more of a team issue than anything else. But like, it's just insanity. People, like, you actually have to be a Redditor to know what's happening, and like that is
actually
the
true.
worst.
Yeah,
that is literally the worst possible outcome for a competitive league. Like, this is not like an exaggeration. This is not even me making fun of Reddit. It's more so Reddit is already an aggregate of very hardcore fans. You can't expect your community to subsist solely based off that. You know, like, you have to have a wider appeal than that.
Yeah, and like if you wanted to actually know what is going on in this offseason in terms of like rosters and scheduling and that kind of stuff, like there's like 3 people you could follow on Twitter that have no affiliation to the league, not doing anything, and they would give you the most amount of information that you could get, because like they're just saying shit, and most of it's true, but nothing of that caliber or of like that importance is just being announced through the proper channels. So if you're not, yeah, as you said, the ear to the ground to Reddit or Twitter, then you'll probably just have no idea that problem's going on in the next couple of days.
All right.
Yeah, so, you know,
Yeah.
not a good look.
Cool.
Not a good look, real. This is very bad. And I want to note, I don't necessarily place all the blame here on the league in terms of like, because like they have their own constraints to work with. I don't have all the inside information about what's happening on the league offices, but I know for a fact there's no fucking way in hell they've received every resource available to make it the most popping off league possible. You know, like, I know they're working with probably some limited resources in some respect, but like, you know, guys, come on. Like, and maybe it's because, and if it's truly this bad where like no one knows the information, like, that may not be the fault of the league, but that's still really bad just in the overall grand scheme of things of like what that means. Because like, you can't have people have to know where they're going to go. People have to understand the format. People need to know, like, and then like the same thing for the teams. Like, they need to know the rosters. If the teams are announced because of a legal problem, guess what? That's also really bad. Like, you know, like, it's just like, and if like, because think of the death spiral essentially of like, we're in a legal battle potentially, like in this hypothetical, we're in a legal battle, so we won't talk about the league we're in. But the league won't acknowledge that we're in the legal battle. So now we're in an endless death spiral of no one talking about anything ever for the rest of time. And everyone's like, well, are we playing charades? The esport league version? Like, that's just insanity across the board. So, you know, that's not good.
It just, I don't know if not you, Connor. Well, maybe you, Connor, but Johnny and Scott mainly, because obviously we all directly work on the league, have done for a few years. Like, dude, I fucking love this product. I love Overwatch.
This is my life's work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like,
everything I've done since I was like fucking
exactly.
20.
Johnny was a wee fucking baby
23.
when he started in the Overwatch League. Like, dude, it's just frustrating seeing something that you love and you've put a lot of work into just not go appreciated by people that are in control, I guess. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily true. There's a lot of people that care within the league, but like, I guess these decisions and stuff are just not in the best interest for like the fans and people that love the game and love the product, the Overwatch League.
Yeah.
It's like a stab in the fucking heart, you know? It's
all
just,
right. Well, we're not the heart. Okay, let's.
Okay. We're gonna big up a little bit here. Yeah.
You have to pick.
I was like a fucking. I let you guys drive the car. I'm taking back the wheel. Okay, I let you guys.
Enough Doomium, he says.
Doomium.
No more Doomium.
No more Doomium.
We're cutting off the Doomium.
We just love the product, okay? We just love this shit, and we're just
cutting it off.
I'd like to say that I got a pretty good feel for when the viewer is just like, can these guys just shut the fuck up and talk about the next thing and stop molding and doing and all this shit. So yes. I think we got the point across, guys. I think we got the point across. We love this shit, and we want to know more, and we want to be hype about it, and we want everyone else to be hype about it because we love it and because we've done it forever. So, yes. Now I'm just going to keep thinking about the death spiral the entire year. Thank you, Avast. But let's talk about what they actually what they actually posted in this blog. Nobody was missing, but what was actually in it. So they released finally that all Overwatch League teams are locked into their regions. So you got East, you have Dallas Fuel, of course, now. You made some clips around Valiant in the Western region. They got a new Overwatch Open Division logo. Poggers. It's Sojourn. Whoa!
Yay!
Yeah, it seems as well that they'll be having more integration and try to utilize that format in a better way compared to what they've done in the past. They announced the groups, which we'll get back to later, because I can't wait to get your guys' thoughts on that. But I also thought it was interesting that they mentioned that they'll be providing travel and a facility in London for EMEA teams so they can compete with acceptable ping levels. I'm looking forward to see if any of the teams and players, what their situation looks like, what this facility actually is. Is it like an internet cafe? Like what is this? I have no idea. But if you're on Team Peps or something, let us know.
I'm thinking of
That's also
all the
why they only have
esports
2
in
teams,
London.
right?
It might
What was
be
that, Jack?
I was going to say, think of all the esports like places in London. It's either like Red Bull have one in Shoreditch, I think, and then Belong, which is like a subsidy of Game in the UK. They might be playing in there, and those facilities, like the London one or the Red Bull one and the Belong one, sick. It's like actually.
Oh yeah, sorry. When I said
big
internet
move.
cafe, there are actually some like incredible internet cafes in Europe.
with like private
Yeah.
rooms and stuff
Yeah.
like that. that are built for
We
pro
don't really
teams.
have internet cafes in London at all. Like
Oh,
they
really?
don't really
Oh.
exist, but yeah, like not really. No.
We,
There are
Um,
office studios. We went to the Face It studios to boot
Yeah,
camp
sure.
one time in London. Like you
Face
can do
It,
any of those
Red
kind of things
Bull,
where they have like a dedicated room, insulated room with
It's
good
cool.
internet, good computers and stuff like that. Like I would
Yeah,
expect that's where they're going to be.
Yeah, when I worked for
It's fucking awesome. I think that's a massive step because EU has just been annihilated ever since the Overwatch League has really been really just the talent has been poached and it's just been kind of left on an island. Big step for EU teams and shit. Cool.
Yeah, to Avast's point earlier, like I think that the fact that they are flying these teams to make sure the competitive integrity exists for these European teams, that's probably one of the reasons that it's a 5-2 split of NA to EU. Of like when they had to add another team, so it wasn't 4-2, it was 5-2. I think it just makes more sense for the league to make it another NA team because it's probably just a lot easier logistically for them. They never came out and said that, but that's realistically the answer.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. I mean, also it is when we think about from a pure, like population based perspective at this point. Like EU is the smaller region than NA at this point, but at the same time, like other answers to that are like you increase support to increase the amount of people that play it, but that's a whole separate economics issue type of thing. But at the very least, I am happy that they're getting 2 teams out to make the ping more manageable. Obviously, I feel like the better option is to like do an actual like tournament event, but I just don't think that's in the cards ever. So
A tournament event? Sorry,
like
I
a
got
LAN
lost.
event,
Oh,
a LAN event.
sure, yeah.
That would be more in the that would be the
LAN events?
preferable
Yeah,
option.
I like those.
But like we don't do these here.
we can't ask for too much.
We don't do these here.
Yeah. The start times for the Pro-Am will be at 1 p.m. PT, so we know what the time the Pro-Am will start. It's 1 p.m. And I guess it's because, contenders players, they go to school, stuff like this, infected to like, he can't just be like, sorry, I'm calling in sick today and tomorrow and next Thursday. As example, like these kids go to school. And so they delayed to 1 p.m. PT to try to make it easier for the players to participate who aren't full-time professional players. They got the map pool. And then it says at the end here, we have a ton to look forward to, and I can't wait to get started. Looking ahead to the weekend of Overwatch 2 Season 4 launch, we plan to hold a small tournament featuring various pro players and influencers, which will highlight the exciting new things coming to the game. Then the 2023 Overwatch League season starts on April 27. Keep an eye out for the full spring stage schedule, talent lineup, small tournament details, updates on the mid-season madness event, and of course, drops. See you March 23rd. So there it is.
Yeah,
That's
the drops will be interesting. Like they haven't really given too much information on that. But I'm kind of Something that they didn't really state in the tournament is I wish they announced like how the format exactly was going to work, because we're just assuming that all the group stages are going to be best of 3 because there's only a 1 hour time slot.
True.
On
Yeah,
the
we're not done with the
scheduling.
format.
They don't know
like,
what the actual.
We don't know what
format
actually,
is.
but like you can assume that it's going to be like a best of 3 group stage into a best of 5 single elimination bracket from what they've posted. But yeah, it wasn't like super clear, but that would make sense. It definitely couldn't be best of 5 for the group stage. That would take forever. So as much as it sucks that it's going to be best of 3, I think it might generate a little bit of hype and interest because you only need to win 2 maps. And when you only need to win 2 maps, you know, playing a weird style can get you a long way. And I think that might be important for some of these teams in the Prime.
Yeah, and there's lots of weird styles as well. So we might see some surprising results this week. Jaws, you gotta get a new light, bro. Like, look at the 3 of us and then look at you.
My
Like,
camera,
where are
it's
you,
my
bro?
Camera.
You got a ring light behind you?
Well, I don't want to put it on. It might burn my eyes.
Oh my god. Okay, shows up late.
Complaining
Doesn't
about
want
the
ring
product
light.
won't turn on the ring light to improve our product.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
eyes, bro. My eyes. Oh,
It's,
they're-
all,
True
it's actually
talent
fucking
take.
bright in this room, bro. It's just the camera.
it's okay,
I've
Jaws.
not changed it.
I think also a lot of people for the format as a final note, people were like, I would like to see it. People were like, why isn't the week 3 double elim? But I'm like, I would agree that's like the max value for competitiveness, but as soon as you add double elim, you add like an extra week of broadcast. That's a lot of games to be done.
You had a lot of games. You double the
and
games.
they've
Maybe
also
more.
gone through a round robin, so like, you know, like you've already found the best teams out of the groups that are going to be competing. So like, I do agree that like a double elim would be more preferable, but you know, there is a, you know, at some point you have to like you have to draw the line occasionally for like what are the stakes really for this, considering the teams don't get to actually make it into the Overwatch League on like each region.
Yeah,
So-
I think they could have made a choice. Either they do group stage with single limb, or they just do like a straight up seeded double limb bracket. But they decided to go with groups, and I think it's a bit overkill if you have groups and double limb, because like and the reason being like screen time. You know, if you wanted to show off the contenders teams, here are group stages. You get a set amount of matches to play, whether you make it out of the group or not. But then if you're gonna do like double limb as well, and like, you know, it's just a lot, just way too much. So I think this is fine. So let's actually make some predictions then, because the action will kick off in about, oh my god, I misspelled predictions.
Predictios. Predictios.
This is good.
The action will kick off in 2 days, and the groups were announced. So I guess we'll just go over group by group, just initial impressions, and then we'll actually make some preds as well. What group stands out to you guys? Group A, Vancouver Titans, San Francisco Shock, Florida Mayhem, Trick Room, and Timeless. And then, yeah, you can see it yourself. I don't need to go through it. We've talked about this already. What group stands out to you guys? I have one that I'm keeping my eyes on.
I think
Group B stands out for me just because I think Atlanta is literally the towering giant meme above the small other people. Sorry, Scott, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I actually think Group D is super interesting. I think D is going to be the one to watch, and I'm curious to see. Yeah, I'm just going to start with D, and then we'll talk about it more later.
All right.
D? Yeah, I mean D. I think D is exceptionally curious because they have 2 what looks to be very good teams with Defiant Outlaws, right? You have 2,
Yeah,
and then you have arguably like, I mean, with Redbirds and fucking Twisted Minds, like, and New York in there, like, I don't think there's a, you know, I don't think there's a guaranteed, like, depending on how New York looks, because we still don't know New York's roster technically.
Yeah.
we've seen a
like-
bit of scrimmage.
I think
but-
they're announcing it
Yeah, but
today.
who knows?
I think they announced that they're
Oh.
announcing it today.
Okay, good, yeah. But we still don't know it at the time, as of right now, when we're recording, we don't know the roster. Like, it's kind of a toss-up, and I could see, like, because there has been a lot of things where, like, teams have said how, like, for Pro-Am, there's going to be a lot of teams potentially playing with ping for
Yeah.
Pro-Am, because they haven't finalized players moving to the States yet, or to their various locations. Also, some teams are going to be taking it at various levels of seriousness, which is, you know, fair, because the stakes here, outside of money, which, you know, by the way, money's pretty nice, but like, yeah, sure. Outside of money is like, it's not insanely high. So I do think that we're probably going to see some variance, but there is a real chance for upsets to occur in Group D. There is a chance when you have Redbird and Twisted Minds in there. Like, I don't think New York is going to be the one to make the upsets, but like the two contenders teams, honestly, I'm kind of like, so who knows? Maybe New York comes out with a banger, like kind of sleeper roster potentially. So I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know. I think also Group D is like, if Outlaws were to lose early, like it's one thing to lose later on the bracket, like it's like whatever. But if they were to lose in groups, like not make it out of groups, I'd be like, okay, that's kind of papige from Outlaws. So
yeah. All right, so let's actually go through each of the groups and who we think will advance. I'd love to do pick'ems, but there are no pick'ems apparently. So
But there were pick'ems.
are there pick'ems for the entire thing?
Someone told me there is pick'ems.
What?
I have yet to see any pick'ems.
Yeah,
for
I
this
don't think
event.
I've seen them. So, but I feel like I heard someone say that they did exist.
Yeah, the last
could be
thing I
lying
saw
to you.
was something.
I could be
I
spreading
typed
misinformation.
in Pick'ems Pro-Am Overwatch League, and the first result is a Reddit thread from r/competitive Overwatch saying, "Certainly, we're getting Pick'ems for the Pro-Am."
No, that I wouldn't bet on it. Okay, there are no pick'ems. I lied to you. Me when I spread misinformation. My bad.
That's just joining the war on misinformation on the side
Here
of
to help.
misinformation.
All right. Group A. Vancouver Titans, Shock, Mayhem, Program Timeless. Who do we think makes it out? This is probably the easiest group, I think, to predict.
Well, okay, we need to talk about, the thing that's been going around lately is that none of the San Francisco Shock players or coaches have a visa. So they probably are going to be playing from Korea, primarily, unless something changes in 2 days.
Is this rumor simply because of the person who DM'd Krusty?
No, but like they also haven't said that their roster is here, and there is no one like if everything points towards them still being in Korea, and like the players, I think that none of the players are in NA, none of them have been tweeting about it. We haven't seen any of them playing in NA. Like everything points towards them not being here, and maybe they have visas and they're going to show up the last day. But even then, that could be a bad problem. But funnily enough, it wouldn't be as big of an issue if they were in Group C or D. But they're not. They're in Group A, so they have to play the first weekend. So they're gonna have to play on ping probably.
Yeah.
I
There's
think
also
it's safe to assume.
the official start date for Overwatch League is the 27th.
April
it's out in the
27th.
blog post. Yeah,
April,
but
or is it
late
in April? It's in April. Okay, late April. Okay, so they still have time. I was gonna say like for some reason I read the 27th. I'm like, surely it's not March 27th. It's probably April 27th. So yeah, that makes more sense. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes more sense.
I mean, I feel like Shock and Mayhem are like favorites to get out of this group.
Mayhem, I will give information since Mayhem, everyone except Sana is in the US. Mayhem. Everyone except because Sana, I believe,
Okay,
is
that's the deal
finishing up-
breaker. I'm going Trick Room.
Because Sana wouldn't be playing anyways because they're finishing up they have a semester of school they're finishing up right before Overwatch League starts, so they're letting them finish them up and then fly out there.
Okay.
So yeah, it's but they at least have the ping advantage. So that's going on with Mayhem. But I mean, my favorites would still have been Shock and Mayhem personally. Out of this,
I just feel like they're too strong.
Even with ping, it's
obviously
with ping in practice, I don't know.
The Reddit take is like, we saw Shock play on ping against Atlanta and it didn't go well, but I think people are reading into that too much as well. I think they should be able to get over these teams. It really comes down to how seriously they take it, as you said, Johnny. Like, do they have the incentive when they're going to be playing on ping to really try their best?
Also, Atlanta are a strong team, so
yeah,
it's not exactly easy competition for the San Francisco Shock.
Yeah. Do we think that Florida Mayhem or Shock takes the first spot? Could we see Mayhem beating Shock considering the ping
If
difference?
Shock don't troll, Shock take first. But if they do troll, then I would say maybe.
I don't know. With high ping, it's still debatable at points. Like I think for the teams, like with high ping and lack of prep, because also I've been told, like I said, the other thing that's floating around is that a lot of teams aren't going to be taking that seriously, like the troll aspect. So, and it's not just about that; it's also like how recently they started practicing as a team in general as well, beyond just the troll aspect. So, I think there are some good components like on the teams coming in from contenders. Like, I mean, Timeless, they got Wubheads rise.
They're
Wubheads
rising.
rise. But I do think there's like some actual there are some actual like talent that's like pretty decent talent. You know, I think you mentioned like I think Infected is like very young player, a lot of room to grow.
Didn't he
Additionally,
play with
like
Infected the other day, and he like actually dominated.
Yeah,
on
Infected's a
Winston.
fucking a
he
great
is
player.
fucking
yeah, and then I like
crazy. Obviously, that's
players
Cuba.
like
That's right.
Angelic and like Magic 8-Ball, and I think even like Pummy is one that I remember seeing some gameplay and be like, okay, like there's some talent there. It's just like the teams they're up against are very, very strong. Mayhem and Shock both have like insanely good rosters. And then Defiant Titans, if their roster is like good and assembled, the Aspire, Sugar Free, Punk, Faith, Crimzo team is like, that's a fucking
They're
good
solid.
team.
They're solid.
That's a good team if Sugar Free is not like, if Sugar Free's not like washed, right? Like, or if it's not like a hard double flex meta, which I don't, from what I've seen, I can't remember it being.
No, I mean, they're probably going to play pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah.
They're going to play.
Yeah, I think
Winston,
I would vote for Shock Mayhem, but I would say it's a I would give a 30-40% chance for potentially on what's going on if like Titans were to make it out of the group just because of like ping stuff or like lack of practice.
Funnily enough, I actually think the team that I expect third to come out of this would be Trick Room. Is because, and here's why, is because I think Trick Room's going to come in playing Brawl, and I think there's some legitimacy to that comp. And I'm curious to see how every team is going to deal with that. I obviously, Vancouver probably is favorite, and we've seen some scrims of them. They look okay, and they can probably get over Trick Room, but Trick Room has been playing together for a while, and their Brawl looked good when they were playing in the qualifiers. So this is going to be consistent across all the contenders teams, because all the contenders teams likely aren't going to try and play straight up like the Winston, Lucio, Kiriko stuff against these out teams, because they're probably just going to get outclassed. It's going to be, is their style, and they also didn't play it much in the qualifiers, is their style going to be able to win 2 maps against one of these Overwatch League teams, right? We saw Vancouver play a scrim against London Spitfire in the Brawl, and they got rolled. And, Trick Room has shown that they're adept at that composition. If they go to certain maps, it could lean in the favor of Trick Room.
I agree. I just feel like both Mayhem and Shock would be teams that are competent enough to break that down. Maybe less so Shock, because I'm not sure how much those players have actually played against Brawls since they're coming out of Contenders Korea, a lot of them. It's a very important matchup for the tank, and there's some interesting teams later down the line. Looking at the European contenders as well, or qualifiers rather. But like someone on the Winston, I expect him to be fine on Florida Mayhem. Like I think he'll handle the Brawl comps quite fine, and you can put like Merit on the Ash or something like that. So I am definitely like keeping my eyes on some of these sleeper teams that play some funky stuff. Like, will teams be able to deal with it? I just feel like Shock and Mayhem, they probably are good enough to the point where they'll be able to deal with it. And there are some maps in the pool which are like ridiculously strong for Brawl compositions, and we'll see these teams take maps, but I'm not sure it'll last in the entire series.
I was about to ask, we definitely don't have the answers. Is this loser's pick? I would assume.
Yeah, I don't even know how like the
assume
map
so.
pool picking works.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd assume losers
the
picks.
map pool's not bad for Brawl stuff, in particular for Trick Room. The map pool, I mean, because they have Nepal and Lijiang and stuff in there. They have
Antarctic Peninsula is nasty.
I mean they have a lot of options for Brawl to potentially,
and Brawl's good on pretty
Coliseum.
much.
Yeah, exactly. Like they have a lot of good options for a Brawl to work in this map pool. I just don't know how the map pool picking is gonna work. So
Yeah.
don't know how that's gonna function.
We got to move on here. Are we settling for Shock and Mayhem? I know that.
I think they're definitely the favorite.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
that's fair.
Do you want to go Mayhem first or second? Because we're gonna slot these teams in.
Second.
Yeah, I don't want to buy in too much to the visa stuff. I think realistically we should put Shock first. We can go with some Copium and some ping diff if we want to put Mayhem first, but I don't know. Avast, you look like
I'm gonna put Mayhem first.
I'm putting Mayhem first. I'm for the Mayhem first.
Okay,
Avril's not here.
But also, this is not a very high impact prey.
Yeah,
this is not me being like Shock is going to be worse than Mayhem throughout the year. This is just for this particular tournament. I wouldn't be surprised if Shock is worse than Mayhem. But that has literally no stock in the wider season.
Yeah, come on. Group B then: Atlanta Reign, London Spitfire, Los Angeles Valiant, Vegas Eternal, and Saints is in here as well. Quite a stacked group. We don't know the roster of LA Valiant, but
to go kind of crazy.
So it's not stacked, but it's competitive.
Yeah, I don't know if it's quite the most stacked.
It's competitive. Yeah. It's a competitive group.
I think Valiant and Paris are 4th and 5th. Can we all just agree to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's competitive between 3 teams.
Who are you gonna say is better than Saints?
I'm gonna think.
Okay.
I'm just thinking for a second. I'm just
Thinking, man.
I'm thinking also about like rumors and such.
No. Yeah.
Nah, fuck it. Valiant and Paris should definitely be I think the worst teams in this group. You're right.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, you're probably right.
From what we've heard rumors of, and I don't care because if you don't want rumors, don't fucking announce your roster. But I think from everything we've seen at Paris, they don't look much improved throughout this offseason.
Well, we're 2 days away from the official broadcast.
Vegas.
Vegas. Well, maybe if they change their logo. And the Valiant. But I think Saints looked really good. Like Saints won the Prime. I think they have a lot more flexibility than a lot of the other contenders teams. You know, they got Mikey, who's, you know, a great ball player. They have False if they need to play the off tanks and go to like a Colosseo or something like that. I think he's great. You know, Tree is being sold by, you know, the tier 2 scene as the second coming of Proper. So, you know, they're really putting all their weight into that. King's a good player. Like they have a good roster. Obviously, who was it? CJ or which one did they? I think it was
not on the team
Yeah,
anymore.
CJ is not on this team anymore. I believe CJ was there in the qualifiers. The assumption is that they're going to Valiant. So, you know, that could feel like a heavy loss, but I think this team will still be good, and they've shown the ability to play the Winston and the Ball. This is the team I would expect to be the most confident going against an OWL team. And considering they only need to get over the London Spitfire, I don't think that is the craziest thing. I'm not going to put them as favorites over London, but I think it's going to be a competitive match.
Yeah, the second spot in this group is the one to fight for. I still think Rain just wins.
If Rain beef a first spot in this, I better see some extremely hard trolling come out of them, or like extremely ridiculous circumstances, or else
There's
I'm
just
like,
no way. The roster's
just
way
like,
too good. Like,
just can't happen. But that's like the Rain special. That's the Rain special though, is like having like they'd be like, yeah, they're gonna be so good, and then I'm like, well, they were okay.
And then they dominate
like
playoffs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it would be a massive fumble if they do not take first. I think second spot is the one to fight for. London and Saints. I don't know, like yet to be seen, I guess, with Saints. Like you were saying, Scott, with Tree being the second coming of Christ. Can they beat London?
Proper.
London is, well, yeah. I mean, Proper is Christ. I mean, you might as well be. London Spitfire, and dude, I think London could go kind of crazy with the Ryan and Winston. Like Hadi and the rest of the squad, like they've proven last year that they're not to be fucked with. They didn't really make that well. I guess with like Shax, Poco, and whatnot, them kind of leaving, but I still think the core is still there. I still think they're super good.
They look good in scrims against Vancouver as well.
Yeah, like they're still super clean. So I don't know. I would still take London over Saints just because of how good they looked last year, but we'll see, I suppose. We'll see if Saints really do live up to this hype, because they also have like King, right? King's super good. Mikey is good. He's a good ball player. And then Tree obviously has been super hyped up. So see, they've got a lot more flexibility as well, because obviously teams are going with near minimum players this year. So it makes sense for them to have a lot.
When you don't have to pay people money, you know, you can like build them flexible rosters.
Exactly right.
Do some crazy. It's finally unpaid labor is returning again. I've also heard like rumor mill once again, but like I've heard that London have been struggling currently finding their footing. But once again, Scrimbucks are never, and they're self-reported, so they're biased. So like, don't ever take that as like a fact. This is like, who knows? Like, we'll see. I think it will be, personally though, I think it will be Rain Saints. And I think we're going to get our first toilet bowl of the year.
Yeah,
with
that's
Valiant
going to be the toilet bowl, yeah.
Eternal.
Valiant.
I think Valiant Eternal will be a mega hardcore toilet bowl, and I think it'll be glorious. This is what I'm really looking forward to the season, because this will be the year we get the most toilet bowls ever. And it will be so fucking great. I love toilet bowls. I love toilet bowls. I really do.
Yeah, you think toilet bowls will be the major key to this year of the Overwatch League, seems like.
Yeah, I think that's going to be, if you can't dazzle them with your spectacular plays, you can dazzle them with your inability to make plays. So I think this is going to be it. I
don't know this either, but I get the feeling that the players who have actually signed to the LA Valiant, they kind of like know what they're in for. Like they're kind of like a bit self-aware. And I just want the players on the Valiant to fully like put on the clown shoes and the wig and just like,
it would be so
we
funny.
are the Valiant. If you guys lose to us, you guys are trash. And just like go full troll, teabag, go like the entire fucking distance. Like the Valiant can become like even better than like the breadsticks of Vancouver Titans in 21.
They literally have perfect marketing because it's like there's no expectation for them to win. If they do win, it's a huge victory. And like everyone's self-aware of it. Like it's just like it's an insane. It can't keep on getting replicated. Only one team can really do it in the league at a time. No one else is allowed. You can only have one team max, but it could be so good.
Dude, if Valiant
so
beats Vegas
good.
here, I don't even, dude.
That's
I
tragic.
mean,
That's
yeah.
literal tragedy. That's literal tragedy.
Also, because Valiant are reported to have. Wait, am I? No.
Yeah. That.
Well, I was gonna say they have Krawi. No, Krawi plays for Wisp, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Krawi plays.
I'm trying to remember who's rumored on that team. It's like
He was rumored to be a Valiant, but he played for
No.
Wisp in the
Crawley's not on
qualifier.
Wisp. Crawley's not on Wisp. I don't think.
I think it is Croy. I think it is Croy on that team.
I thought they
Crawley
have
left
Crimson and
Wisp.
Bubbles. Yeah,
Yeah.
Crawley's on Valiant is the supposed rumor. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got both right. He was on Wisp and then now reportedly
Yeah, then he
rumored to
moved.
join the Valiant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
then he moved.
So that I'm sure Krawi would love to beat Vegas with Vulcan on tank, who also was their nemesis in that Contenders A sides or whatever, and they beat each other. Huge storyline there for the Vegas Eternal and the LA Valiant.
Dude, the storyline Oh, dude, the storyline is so. I mean, but it is because the storyline. Remember Vancouver Titans versus London in 2020, like one. That storyline.
Yeah.
That was a legendary storyline.
Yeah. So where do we settle on this? Lone Spitfire versus the Saints here. Atlanta Reign winning the group. Who's second?
All right. I don't know. I don't know if I'm willing to buy into this Saints like full send over London. I don't know. Do you like? I feel like we're not giving London enough credit for what they have. I like their addition of Lethal and Skairipa. I think it makes sense. I don't know. I think it's going to be a competitive match, as you said, but I don't think I'm willing to put them over.
Agreed. London's second for me. 100%.
Yeah, I think it would be funny to have Saints, but like when you have Sparker in your DPS line and you have like a comfort picks, like my biggest thing is that I also think Admiral Landon is actually a very good backline. It's like a very solid backline, especially in a Lucio meta. I'm so tied on this. I'm so like tossed up, but I think I gotta give it to London. I'll give it to London.
Okay. I'm surprised you all picked London. I probably would have gone with Saints, to be honest. But okay, going with London second.
No, actually, I'm going to pivot. You've got me. You've convinced me.
God.
Saints.
Dude, it doesn't matter because
If he just
it's a
said
draw.
No,
It's a tie. So it doesn't matter.
Well,
Yeah.
you've convinced me. I'm on the right side of history.
All right, fuck it. I'm down. Let's just full send Saints.
Wait,
We'll
what?
get more
Saints.
clicks and impressions. We'll get more
Let's
clicks and
go.
impressions. Fuck it. That's what we want. You know, fuck it. Full send Saints.
Oh, look at me.
I believe it. And then if it works, then we can look like geniuses. If it doesn't, then hey, we were just hyping up the league.
Wow, look
There
at
we
me.
go. Yeah, exactly.
Influencing people. Sign me. Pay me money. Someone. Saints. Moving on to Group C. Now, this is actually the group that I was going to mention earlier. This is honestly the group I'm most excited for because it could go so many different ways. Boston Uprising, I think, are the favorites with their incredibly stacked roster. But honestly, we haven't heard a peep out of that team, and we have no idea whether they're good, they're bad, they started off slow, they started off strong. We have no idea. Gladiators, rumored to be trash in scrims. Now, these are rumors, and the only thing we've seen is that one VOD of them just getting absolutely pummeled on push.
By Trick Room.
Yep, by Trick Room.
Washington Justice, apparently, and I can't confirm this because it was someone in my Twitch chat, which, you know, remember when I mentioned integrity earlier in the show? Yeah, never mind that. But apparently someone's on the Justice has been really like hyping themselves up and say that they beat the Gladiators in scrims and stuff like that. Not sure what to read into that. Sure, good for you guys. Wisp.
Was it Saints? Oh,
Wisp looks all right. Now, they're not going to have Crow as their tank, so that might be a problem if he's going to the Valiant. But I actually think they played pretty respectable. Their Tracer player, whose name escapes me, had a pretty good tournament from the one VOD I watched. There was only one VOD available, so you know, if you blame me for not researching enough, well, I only had access to one match. The entire
I think it was
qualifier.
Rocket. I believe
Rocket. Yeah,
player.
I think they only showed one match that was played the entire tournament. So I mean, it's pretty hard to study up on that. But yeah, Rocket was incredible that match. Popped off. I mean, his final blow count was actually like surprisingly high. They played a bit more defensively. around their team's abilities. They didn't overextend as much. And I generally liked what they had going with Kravi as their Doomfist player for that team. So, Wisp could definitely be a threat. And also, I'm just going to fucking say it. I think Peps makes it out of this group. That's my hot take. I think Peps makes it out of this group. I think they are a dark horse.
They're playing with Ping, and now make me remember this properly, but wasn't Peps cannibalized for the Justice roster?
Yeah, but they still look good in the. They qualified without the players from the Justice roster.
That's true.
Like, they didn't.
That's true.
They didn't qualify.
Their brawl is good.
But here's the thing. For both. Sorry, you go, Avast.
No, that's all I said was one thing.
First of all, I did mess that up. Thank you, chat. I was MYXL got rolled by Trick Room on Esperanza. Maryville, which is Saints, beat Gladiators in the scrim. But the interesting thing about both of these European teams is they play very differently to anything we've seen from any of the other teams. They love playing Pharah, Echo, and Mercy. I think the linchpin of whether or not these teams make out is whether or not that style will work in this setup, because it looks good and they made it pop off in their qualifiers, but playing on 90 to 100 ping makes that a lot more difficult. They're obviously very experienced with playing on ping. They come from Europe, but I don't know if I'm as sold on the team.
Okay, can I sell you on it?
Yeah, okay, sell me.
Okay, here's the thing. Team Peps, great brawl team, okay? Crowned up a typical like European Reinhardt Chad. Historically European, they have a bunch of Reinhardt Chads. He's one. Cool. Naga might be one of the best Mays in the entire tournament. I think Naga's May is really good.
Really?
Excuse me?
Yeah. Okay, what other May?
Backbone.
Okay. Yeah, one of the best. So him.
But I mean, I still think
you're just talking about someone who's played a lot of May. They played a lot of May because they were not good when Naga was on that team, really. Like, I don't know. I feel like this is just like so much like bias towards like the way that they play the game. Like, I don't know. Yeah, they're a good brawl team, but I think just saying that he's one of the best in the tournament is crazy speculation.
Okay.
Because when Naga was in Overwatch League, he didn't really Pharah. He played Pharah and Echo.
He didn't exclusively play anything.
Yeah.
He played a lot of different things.
He did. I think Naga's actually a pretty good projectile player. I just don't know if we can label him as, like,
he's good, but like, dude, I don't think you can get away with playing.
I mean, I'm only saying that because there are like not a lot of like May players. Like
in their group, I'll give you in their group. He's probably the best May player in their group.
Okay. We might see how that age. But
I mean, they have
whole league, so it can't be worse than that.
Yaki, Kevster, and like Decay.
Who on Boston plays
Striker?
May?
I mean, Decay. I think
Decay?
Decay, Striker, or Striker would probably be their May player. Probably not.
I can't remember the last time I saw either of those players play.
I mean, Justice has like a, I don't know, like a fucking Alpha Yi, I guess.
Yeah, they have Alpha Yi Flora. What do you think? But if I'm speculating, if I'm guessing, and look, okay, this is a lot of speculation and guessing here. I suspect that Washington Justice will also play Brawl because of Ben Best. I think an FD God.
Yeah.
I think we'll see quite a bit of Brawl.
I could see it as well.
Yeah.
Terrell and Bap as well, I think makes a lot of sense.
But I could see Justice playing Dive
predict
as well.
Team Peps, who almost exclusively play Brawl, and that's their bread and butter, going up against a Washington Justice team that just got together with like 3 Koreans and 3 Europeans or whatever it is, and just like now have to learn how to play Brawl, which is a very communication heavy and like ability driven kind of composition, and they can't rely on like mechanical skill all the time. I feel way more comfortable predicting someone like seeing experience play May play coming out of like Naga and like a great Reinhardt, even versus the Washington Justice. So, and then Gladiators, if Gladiators can't match up well against Brawl, like is Dante Winston going to hold up against Brawl? Are they going to play like Sojourn, Lucio, Kiriko into that? I don't know what to expect from the Gladiators. They seem to be going through some stuff. I think Team Peps to me is the dark horse, and it's a wild pick. I'm not saying they're the favorites, but if I had to pick one wild pick to like make it out of the groups, I think Team Peps is a very spicy pick that I think will be very fun to see.
Okay, This is an important question. Do you think Brawl is heavy meta, or are you assuming the Winston, Lucio, Kiriko stuff?
No,
because we've seen a bit of both.
I don't think a Brawl team will win the tournament. I think that Brawl comps is going to throw a lot of teams
I agree.
for a loop. I think there are quite a lot of Overwatch League teams even here that aren't well practiced against Brawl teams, and I think they'll struggle to like dismantle those comps with not a ton of practice leading into the tournament. And so I'm exclusively looking at Group C. I question how teams like Gladiators and Washington Justice will deal with Team Pep's Brawl, and I think Peps could get away with it.
Yeah. I think the important thing is that Gladiators have been reported to be like really bad in scrims. Like it's not just like, this isn't just like one report as well that we're running off of, or like one map of scrims. Like it's being said by like multiple teams that Gladiators are struggling. So I could actually see Team Peps getting over Gladiators for the reasons that you pointed out of like Gladiators don't have just like, oh, we'll just mirror and we'll just get away with it. I don't know if Gladiators would win that matchup. Here's the thing about this group. I'm not sold on Boston. Like we don't know anything about Boston. We have heard nothing. And I'm just, they're probably really good. You just look at the number of trophies. They have like 9 trophies on their roster in terms of like how much they've won. But I'll believe it when I see it with that team. So I'm not just sold that they're going to be number one. I'm not sold they're not going to be number one just straight off the bat. I don't believe it.
This is bullshit, dude. Like we're also taking into account a million different fucking rumors and like one block of scrims or like one map of scrims from like a billion fucking teams as well. And we've not seen Boston scrims or anything like that. And then we just fucking take that. But no, dude, Boston are fucking good. They're going to be good.
Bro, open your eyes, Jack.
The amount of fucking talent, bro.
Open your eyes. Look at the management. We've seen teams be fumbled by this exact management before, and you think this whole team just moves to NA and is just like, oh, we're a super team again. We're back in 2021 when we were all the best players in the world.
They might not be a super team in fucking Overwatch League, but there's just no shot. There's no shot they don't do well here. If they don't,
I think they make it out of groups. I'm not sold that they're the clear-cut number one team. I'm not sold they're clear-cut number one.
Okay, so here's my problem. Here's my problem with that.
Okay.
I feel like I can trust the Boston Uprising because I think that their framework is good. If you want to be like, who's going to play damage? What are their damage roles going to look like? Who will play what? Fair enough. You got me there, okay? I have no idea. But the fact that they can play Smurf on the tank and Lee Jig on Isayaki and then do whatever, I feel very confident in that.
That is insane. Like imagine we just saw those list of players and we didn't see the team name, we didn't see like who was managing it and shit like that. You'd be like, oh my fucking god, this team is ridiculous. And it fucking is. Look, I guess it's yet to be seen if things behind the scenes that get fumbled, and we've seen obviously what's happened to Justice in the past when a lot of these players were on Justice, sure. But I just don't really believe or buy into the fact that this team is going to be bad. Like, I just can't. I really can't. Maybe I am going to eat shit at the end of it. I don't know. But this team, I would say, will probably win groups. This group. I'd say it would come first in this group for sure. Just going on how good a lot of these players are. Like, dude, Isayaki and Legic on the fucking back line, like Johnny said, in fucking Smurf. Holy fuck, who cares?
There's no way they can like make those players regress that quickly.
Exactly. You can't just hit the fucking Benjamin Button shit on them. There's no way.
I don't know. I also think I think Peps is a very good Brawl team, but I don't think they're like, or I should say, I meant to say Justice. I don't think Justice are a guaranteed lock in to play Brawl because like a lot of their players would still probably do fine and like I don't think FD God. I think FD God would be fine. Like literally Teru who has only played Kiriko. Like, so like why would the Lucio Kiriko be out of the realm of equation for them to like play that for like a Winston comp with like Alpha, because Alpha and Flora would thrive in that sort of like setup for DPS as well. Like it's essentially just your tank that you're worried about, and I don't think Justice are guaranteed to play Brawl.
Cooking. All right, he's got a lot of ingredients. It's like he's cooking up a bouillabaisse or something. I have no idea what this would look like at the end, but they got to figure it out.
I also don't think Boston are going to impeach that much.
This is by far the most interesting group, actually. Now that we've actually talked about it, there is a lot of different storylines that come in here, and I genuinely have no idea who's going to be good and
Group C is very, very interesting. I'm not taking Boston out of number one for this group though. I think Boston should be a lock for number one. I hate going by Scrimbucks to put Glads because once again on paper, Gladiators should,
On paper,
get
Glad should be second team.
in
Yeah.
Would you
this
say the
group.
talent is there?
The talent is literally you have Yaki, Kevster, fucking Lastro, and Funny Astro, man. Like you can't be.
It is ridiculous
You can't be getting
how
out of
this shit
group.
is like come down to they're getting dumpstered in scrims. Here's the rumors. Here's the fucking VODs and shit. Because again, like you remove the team name, remove everything else. Look at the player names. You're like, holy fuck, this team is good. And then they also have Kai for long range hit scan. They got a lot of flexibility and damage. Like
they just
dude,
should not be losing.
There's just no way. And then Astro, the most annoying duo in the league to cast. Like, dude, they're also pretty fucking sick. Astro is a fantastic fucking Lucio player. And then Lastro, and they have Babel too. Although Babel, I wouldn't say is like tippity top.
I mean, someone to round out their back.
Babel pretty good.
Yeah, like bro, this team as well. Like, I don't buy too much of the stock into the fucking rumors and the scrims and shit. There's no way they're getting dumped on that hard, and there's no way they don't come back from it and just go like, okay, we're just gonna win now because Kev's is a machine.
I have a question. Okay, if Gladiators do not make it out of this group, I want a formal apology
Disband the team.
from Avast for saying that Yaki is a top 5 DPS. In the
No.
league. I want a formal apology if the Gladiators don't make it out of the group. This is the nail in the coffin.
What if he pops the fuck off, but his team just falls in their face?
I don't believe that'll happen. Yeah,
but like, and also like, why are we putting? And once again, Pro-Am is like going to be a fun narrative thing, but I'm not going to apologize for Yaki over Pro-Am. I'm not going to apologize for Yaki over Pro-Am.
The excuses for us are already flowing for fucking Yaki. That's crazy.
Now, as soon as we get into regular season, if some shit goes down and they beef, yes, I will give you a formal apology. I will give everyone a formal apology. I'll announce it right here. I'll give a formal apology for my Yaki thing if they beef hard, stay the first stage, and like Yaki, like. And if Yaki doesn't look really good. Now, it doesn't include if his team, if he looks fucking incredible and his team loses, I'm still going to keep the code.
Of course, there's a clause.
But if he looks pretty mediocre and like the team's not looking good, then I'm like, okay, fine. But I'll announce, I will give a formal apology then, but not for Pro-Am. Unless it's like a truly atrocious performance. And even then, I still won't do it because it's Pro-Am. I still won't. But I will seem demure. I'll seem beaten down a bit. But I simply can't not lock in Boston Glass. They can make it out of this group. I simply can't do it. I can't do it.
Boston number 1, Glad's number 2.
Yeah, Dante has also been pretty emo on Twitter about his Winston play. So and he's been playing a lot of Winston on stream, I believe. But like, I could totally see Dante come out and play like Doomfist, and they play like some Doomfist Sojourn Tracer comp, and I'm like, oh, they're doing great. Like, no problems at all. Like, I could totally see them just come out and look great playing Doomfist or something.
I also think it's important to note that, like, I think Gladiators have the forethought of as well of like these scrims, they're probably trying lots of shit out and they're trying to be a well-rounded team. No, I don't believe every team is trying to be a well-rounded team. I wouldn't be surprised if there are some teams that are scrimming of like, for the Pro-Am, we're just going to play this style because the new hero is coming out after this. We just need to be the best right now. Let's just play Brawl everywhere, right? Like, I think it was Avast who said like Washington could absolutely be coming into this as like in the Pro-Am, we play Brawl. Because that is our best chance of getting out of groups and getting as far as we can. Compared to Gladiators, which, Dante's been practicing Wrecking Ball, Winston, they could be trying to like beat, the San Francisco Shock and, Houston Outlaws with the Winston. Like, maybe this is hard copium, but I can see them diversifying themselves more, which could hurt them in the Pro-Am.
Yeah. I made a rant, a video I posted on my Twitter, where like there are so many comps flying around now that like scrim results and leaked VODs are so inconsistent because it could be like the first time these teams are playing against some of these compositions. Like the Seoul and the Hangzhou VODs that leaked, where Seoul were playing this like Diva composition on Rialto. I bet that was like Hangzhou's first time that they saw this composition and they were like, well, we don't know what the fuck to do like against this composition. And I think it's like that for like a lot of teams, where it's like Ramatra being played or whatever. So some of these scrims leaked are just a bit all over the place, and I wouldn't have people read into it as much as we're doing on the podcast when we're being irresponsible about our analysis going into the tournament. All right, let's move on from Group C then. So we got Boston Uprising making it in first, and I think we should all agree that Gladiators probably is the second team.
Yeah.
I think it's the problem that I have as well, if we take Gladiators out, I don't know if I'd want to put Washington or Peps either. So I think I'm
going Peps as my spicy pick, but Gladiators is the reasonable choice, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on to Group D. Group D then. We got Toronto Defiant, New York Excelsior, Houston Outlaws, Twisted Minds, and Redbird. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Anyone got any? I would like to go. Okay,
Go.
here's the thing.
Go first.
Cook.
This, to me, screams Twisted Minds is going to make it out of this group.
Oh,
and
it's
I
so
know,
spicy, I
and
love
I
it.
know Toronto Defiant
so
is going to
spicy, I
fucking
love
come
it.
at me. I'm sorry. I know they're saying prove me wrong. I hope you prove me wrong. But I think Twisted Minds play even more crazy than Team Peps do on the Pharah Echo stuff. And it looks crazy. They have so much talent, and I think they're just going to come in, play that style. And the reason I say I think Toronto is a better team all round, but I think there is a heavy chance that Toronto are not ready for what they're about to go up against Twisted Minds, and it's impossible to practice against because nobody plays that way. So I'm a little worried that Toronto's going to walk into this match and then not have the direct answer for it in 2 maps and just like struggle. And, in a way that, Atlanta has had that in the problem of like, they're like, oh, we got cheesed out of the game in a way, right? Like that is a mentality that some of their players have had before. They are going to get cheesed in this match against Twisted Minds, and I think they could potentially struggle.
I can't believe I disagree with Custa this podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, I honestly, I'm just coming in. I'm just throwing shit at the wall and seeing.
I get what you're saying, okay? I know where you're coming from. Their play looked very, I don't know if appetizing is the word. Like you love to see it. Like you just want to lean into it because it was so crazy. And I think his name is LBBD7 or something like that, the Pharah player for this team. And you're like, oh, this is great. The Tracer player pops off, and I think it's KSA is their tank, and like, oh, KSA is looking great as well on this team, and everything's just working. And like, look at them beating all these brawl teams with their Pharah play. It's so like the nades coming in from Slay on the Ana, it's just great. And I'm like, oh wow, what a great comp. They don't match up well against the rest of these teams. Come on now, Toronto Defiant with Hydron, surely he just comes out on like a hit scan and is just like, well, see you later, Pharah. Like, we're done here. Like, we not even going to discuss. They have very limited flexibility. Nutella pretty much only plays Mercy. Lucio plays very questionable from Nutella. Nutella can't play double flex support, so they have LBBD8 go from damage to support when they need double flex support play. I will say that Quartz is a sick hit scan player, and that might have some influence, but I don't think that composition can like carry them through groups here. I think that's insane.
I said this earlier, like I don't think the Pharah Echo with Mercy and shit like that, I don't think that's good at this level, especially when you're playing against Toronto and Houston.
I think they make it out of group. No, I never mind. Sorry. Go on, Joss.
No, they don't make it out of groups.
I'm not going to say
I don't
stupid
think
shit.
That's true. Fucking Toronto and Houston make it out of groups. I'd say this is quite an easy one to call, to be honest.
Yeah, I think
the
so.
Redbirds are, they're pretty decent, I guess, but dude, still, Toronto Defiant, like Houston Outlaws' team looks fucking crazy.
Yeah, I'm not doubting Houston Outlaws in any way.
You doubt in fucking high
Toronto?
Hell fucking no. Hell no. Dude, I just don't see it, man. I just think teams are just way too good at the high level to play, unless it's like an actual Fire Mercy meta where it's like actually just too strong. I just don't see it working. Those characters are just so... It almost feels like those characters are outdated in a way at the high level, although you could say that's not a bad thing. But the hit scan talent, I think,
they should win that. Yeah, they should just win. I mean, like I
get the spicy take and I like it a lot, but Carib's on coach, so yeah, I see where the bias is there. I feel it. But,
Wait, what did you say?
Carib's
the coach at Twisted Minds.
Oh,
Twisted Minds.
I thought you said Carib is on coke.
No.
He is the coach.
Okay.
Twisted Minds.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I like the spicy take, but...
Yeah, I think the problem is that, and also the inherent issue with this composition is that, like, that comp thrives against especially a Pharah Echo composition with a Mercy thrives against teams not being coordinated enough to like disperse resources away from them. Like to be able to like, okay, I'm going to poke this player. Now Mercy's here. I go for Mercy, or I poke Mercy. They have to adjust, right? Good teams, especially with the flexibility of like a Lucio Kiriko comp, with how flexible, like, because that's one of the main weaknesses of like backlines into like a double like flying DPS, double flex DPS of like Echo Pharah is like you could feast on backlines typically. You can't really feast on backlines when you have Lucio Kiriko. It's just not possible. And I think like a strong hit scan and like Tracer. The biggest thing I'm worried about though is like how does like, because typically I'd want to play like a Tracer into that, like a Tracer Sojourn or something. And I don't know I'm still worried about like, who do you pick to play Tracer for this team for Defiant? Do you put You don't want to put Hydron. I would say like Hydron is probably their best tracer, but Hydron's also their best hit scan. So like you definitely keep Hydron in hit scan, and like so then you have Speedily or Sam, and I mean I'm not gonna probably put Speedily to learn how to play tracer when you could just like have Sam play tracer, I guess. So
okay,
I don't know.
Can I follow through of like so? I agree with your thing of like you're gonna play Winston, Lucio, Kiriko, right? Kaluj has already talked about his lack of confidence playing Winston in this setup. And I absolutely could see Toronto taking the ego of like, we'll just play Echo versus them and like doing it. And I think that Twisted Minds is very experienced in this composition in the mirror. I could absolutely see Kaluj being like, what if I just go Diva, a comfort hero for me, Speedily goes Echo. We know how confident they are in Speedily and we just run at them. And then they put Sam on Tracer. Hydron's not even playing the game anymore to match that, right? So then they got Tracer, Echo, and then they have Mercy, you know, whatever the fuck it is, right? With it. Like, I could absolutely see that happening. And I think Twisted Mind, like, I think that'd be a great matchup, first of all, because I think Toronto is talented enough with all of their players to be able to match Twisted Minds in it. But Twisted Minds, they know how to play this composition. They had that mirror against Team Peps when we watched them in the grand finals. So what composition does Toronto play to beat Twisted Minds composition? Is my point.
You are cooking, bro. This is you are.
I mean, I'm cooking it,
bro. This is my hot take. This is my hot take of this tournament.
Oh my god.
This is straight up my hot take of this because Toronto is a better team. Like, don't get me wrong. Toronto is a better team than Twisted Minds.
The odor coming out of the kitchen right now, it's unbelievable. Like, wow.
He is indeed fucking cooking. I can't in good, unlike Group C where I can be like, or Group B where I'm like, yeah, I think I could see Saints being better than those other teams. And even Group A where like there's some potential, and Group C, like this, I just don't see, the potential with Outlaws and Defiant being in this. I just don't see it. I feel
Are we sleeping on Redbird?
Categorically.
I watched Redbird. Redbird are good, but I don't think they're going to beat Toronto.
They're solid, but like they're solid, but I wouldn't put them. I personally,
beat New York,
Saints
probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They can beat New York, sure. I think I still gotta go Defiant Outlaws. I still have to. If Custa predicts the biggest brain like mental like loss essentially, then yes, Twisted Minds theoretically in the perfect I want to duel you matchup would win the matchup probably because they are better at that composition. But I'm happy to go.
I'm happy to go Houston Toronto. I would like it to be stated on the record that I'm cooking.
Custa's on the record with Twisted Minds making it out of Group D. Yeah. Good stuff. Joss, you agree with you made it clear. You want Houston and Toronto.
Yeah. Houston then Toronto.
All right. I think we'll save the bracket predictions for when we actually have the bracket, because otherwise we're just gonna go on for so freaking long. I'll ask you this question though before we see any of the teams. I'm trying to save some time here, but you guys, so I hope you appreciate that. But if you had to pick a team who is the favorite to win it all right now, can you pick one team? And I can go first, and you guys can think about it maybe if you want, unless someone already has a team on top of their head. I think, and it hurts to say this because they've already been cursed, but I think Atlanta Reign look like
the Scrim Bucks exchange is in
full effect.
Do we all know if Reign are all in A?
They look really good. I love their compositions they're playing. I think they're super stacked. I just think Atlanta Reign look like in a really good form going into this tournament.
I think they're all in
NA. If they're all in NA, then yes. If I'm going Reign.
I'd agree, yeah.
The only one I think maybe not is Donghack.
I think they can survive.
Right.
I'm not sure if Donghack can survive.
Probably can survive that. Reign take
if they want to play the ball comps, they kind of need Donghack.
Sure, but like I still think that like I still think they could get by even with one player on ping. I think they could still get by with Donghack.
I think this is Bad Pachamari's best chance at overcoming the curse in a very long time with the Atlanta pick.
Dude, by the way, Bad Pachamari is we've never officially covered it, but like that, he is literally the best cursor of all time.
Oh yeah,
like,
it's impressive.
He's done it across so many titles, so many games.
Can you swap things that aren't even esports? What's going on?
He's done it to Valorant. He's done it to COD. He's done it to
he did it to the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Super Bowl. Like he's done it for. It's incredible. He's literally the best. No one does it better.
No one does it better. Yeah. Ridiculous.
All right, I got Atlanta Reign. Any other teams? What do you think? You agree?
Okay, I think we got to throw the Houston Outlaws in the ring. I think they're just such a stacked team. They're going to be very good in whatever meta they need to play. I think Houston's another strong favorite. I I like Atlanta for the same reasons you said, not just the scrim bucks, but the way that they were playing the game in that. They looked comfortable, they looked confident in when and where they wanted to play things.
Dude,
So,
the lip looks ridiculous.
yeah,
It's
lip,
just so
lip
good.
look crazy.
Yeah. Vigilante is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's
I would just say I personally would just take Rain regardless of the scrim bucks for this first event because I feel like they just have their shit together for this.
True.
Like they clearly have invested into like getting everyone there early, practicing, getting their shit together. And also they have the Chio fielder backline. It's literally the perfect backline for a meta. Like if they're gonna play like that Lucio Kiriko comps. Like it's like you would not take anyone else in Lucio Kiriko other than Chio Fielder. Like that is the backline. Those are the guys. Like those are the people you want right now.
And that's not even
100%.
including Vigilante, as Johnny said. Like Vigilante is playing insane if they need to.
And it's true. And Vigilante.
Yeah.
Like they have so many options. And like Lip, I mean, like I think they have their shit together. I think there's a lot of chances the metas like there's variants and stuff as we go on as everyone gets into NA. But right now I have Rain. I think they just have everything together.
all right. Charles, who do you got winning?
Probably Rain. I could see an Outlaws Rain final quite easily.
Outlaws
I
Rain
think that match would
final?
be hype as fuck.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be.
All right.
It's really sad that Shock are having so many issues. Yeah, like, are we underrating Shock? Just
ping,
under the
yes.
assumption that they have ping.
When they match up
no.
against Outlaws and Rain going in, and they have like high ping, I would say yeah, probably.
They're struggling
But
with
they
ping.
might
Lane's
be
roster
NA
this
by
year, I
then.
agree.
Like, remember, like by the time we get this is week 3, we get into the bracket. Like, Shock just need to make it out of groups. They could make it to NA by then.
Yeah.
I also didn't
is
love like their play in the scrims. I think they have a few things to figure out. And yes, that's reading into scrims, and I apologize for that. But like, I do think they have a few things to figure out.
It's hard to know how hard they were trolling those scrims. Like, because there were some
Maybe.
weird choices in those scrims of like who was playing what.
Yeah, there was obviously and if you are the Shock, you are supposed to play both Max and Junbin to like try out both, and see what works best and like figure that out now. So I definitely don't blame them for doing that. So it's just hard to put my trust in them when I saw that, and then also they're struggling with the ping stuff, and so and quite frankly, like Lip Stalker is really good, and so
Crazy.
you can't just be like, well, proper Heesang is gonna like dominate. It's like, well, are they? So yeah, few question marks there. I want to see more Vindime play as well. I want to see more from Vindime and see how he stacks up against some of these support matchups and how he performs. So I don't know. I'm not taking Shock number 1 for granted as much as I think some people did just like a month ago, leading into the season. We'll see how they do in the tournament, but I'm not taking them for granted as a clear number 1 this year. But we'll see how
I
that
won't
is.
have them win this without on ping. I think it's like so incredibly hard to win anything on ping as a full team. It's like so hard.
Yeah,
Like,
it's pretty
It's
hard.
why none of the European teams, like even if they might potentially theoretically make it out of a group, I just don't see them winning anything because ping is just so terrible. to play
Yeah.
on.
But the question that I have is, would they? I guess it hasn't been announced yet, but are they going to have an artificial ping inflation so that both teams are playing on similar ping? So if they're going to force,
Great question, Scott.
if they're going to force the Eastern teams, the European teams have an advantage if they're going to force inflate the Western teams ping just to make it fair, because the Eastern teams will have experience playing on that level of ping.
I wonder.
No clue. Couldn't tell you.
To integrity's sake.
All right.
I just noticed, by the way, on Liquipedia, this doesn't really mean much because I don't think they have an insight as much as as much as anybody does, but it does list it as a BO5. But having only an hour time slot makes sense for a BO3. I just thought.
There's no way they do best of 5. They have 5-day matches.
Yeah, there's no way, right?
So they're 5 match days. Like, there's no, if they try and do best of 5s for 5 matches in a day, the broadcast can go for like 10 to 11 hours.
My God.
If the matches are close, they go for a really long time.
Oh, good luck, desk.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're moving on from the Pro-Am. Spend some time on that. We got 2 team previews coming your way. We could have selected a 3rd team, but one, Most teams don't have a sixth, and if they do have a sixth, I want to save them for last because they're apparently like really good teams, and I wouldn't want to do them justice after the Pro-Am. At this point, I thought that more APAC teams would announce their roster. I guess they don't have to. Guangzhou Charge, Chengdu Hunters, New York, LA Valiant, these teams, they haven't announced anything, so hard to take it for granted. One APAC team that has announced 6 players, though, and they announced one, I think it was last night, the Shanghai Dragons. We're going to team preview today. I don't know why I led it with such suspense, because I think it's in the title of the video as well, so people know already. Guys, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
They sign Bebe as their player coach to be their 6th man, and now this team has as their support Gangnam Jin, DM, and Bebe.
Oh my god! And Fletter tank.
Someone explain.
What?
This is the quintessential ranked team. This is a team where it's like I have a DPS player on tank, and then I have all my supports are flex supports. They can only play Ana Zin. No one else can play anything else. Like, it's like this is the quintessential ranked team. I can't believe this. The worst part about this too is that they signed a 3rd support just for Gangnam Jin still to play Lucio. Probably. That's like the worst part about this is that Gangnam Jin will still probably play Lucio on this team. And
He's
this
the
is like
support on the team, and he's going to be the Lucio player.
it's like why? Why, God? Why? Just why, God? So this I will say there was like hope from like, okay, 6th player could round this out. Nope, fuck this. I don't think Dragons are gonna be that good. I think Dragons will be like, unless Flutter is a tank god and God and Lucio like drastically improves, I think Dragons will be
they're gonna be hella
struggling.
mid.
I think they're gonna be exceptionally mid for this year.
I'm gonna say it so you guys don't have to. I'm not claiming that this is the case, but if you were to present this roster and the player history to like a 3rd-party firm to do an investigation about nepotism, they would be licking their chops. What the fuck is going on here? You signed Fleta as your tank. Bebe comes back to the team after being on this team before. You signed DM as your flex support. Like, are you guys watching Contenders? Like, really? This roster is just insane to me. I cannot explain it. I can't explain it.
I mean, Moon traditionally has loved his players he's worked with before. That is not an unfounded thing. So,
They must be working
this
under,
team, but I don't know what to say. Like, genuinely.
The frustrating thing is like they're obviously working within constraints of like money, right? Like you just look at the roster they put together. It doesn't surprise you when Net uses their primary sponsor, right? Or like the ownership group. So it's like it makes sense that they're struggling. But as you said, Johnny, you could probably throw 50K at a contenders team in Korea and put together something that will likely do better. Yes, there is potential upswing for this roster of if Fled is a god, Gangnam Jin has been practicing his Lucio and stuff like that. But it does scream that it's just like they're putting together a team of players that they knew in the past. And I don't mind known quantities, but they're not known quantities anymore because they're playing the wrong roles. So I'm just worried this team's going to flop as well. But the APAC region in general is in shambles. So somehow I think this team will be middle of the pack in APAC.
Yeah.
I'm just looking through some of the tanks that are available in Korean contenders. Marvel, Huyu, Muse. Like, there are some good Dreamer in there too. There are some good tanks in Korean contenders. And they choose to have Fletter tank. I mean, Fletter is a mechanical god. Like, he's super good, but is he the best tank you could pick up? Probably fucking not. You could just have him on DPS. He's still an unbelievable DPS player. I don't think he's fallen off, really. And he's on tank of all roles, and you still have a Korean contenders to choose from? It makes no sense, man. No fucking sense to me. This is such a crackhead team. And then DM, of course, on support.
Yeah.
And then you have still a ton of Korean contenders talent. I mean, I can only name the ones that I know that I've seen before, but you have Opener. Opener wasn't like crazy good, but he still has experience in.
I think Sanguinar is the biggest
Sanguinar.
player that people are
Slime
talking
is
about.
there too. Like, there's still like a lot of known quantities within Korean contenders that could be brought up. And then DM is now going to off-roll, unless he's been doing some major grinding on the old support, support queues. It just, I don't know. dude. It's so weird.
Yeah.
So fucking strange.
I
Yeah, I don't like this roster.
I could see the damage line doing some work. Like, sure, if you just want to put the game into the hands of Hiso and Viper, yeah, sure. But like, how are you gonna facilitate space? What are your support going to look like? It's just so chaotic. Like, I don't know. Like, we can't compare the players to the other teams because we don't know what DM support will look like. We don't know what Fleta tank will look like, so we can't draw comparisons. As my cam is frozen, apparently. Great stuff. Bye. Yeah, I don't know what to say, guys. Wow. I almost feel a bit bad that I came this unprepared to the Shanghai Dragons. But
well, we literally that's the problem with the Shanghai Dragons roster is you cannot prepare to talk about this roster because it's like it's not even like this is a contenders roster from some unknown region or like some random ass players. Like we literally have not seen Fleta or DM play either of these roles. So unless you're watching their ranked streams, I don't know if either of them stream, then you have no idea what's going on. Gangnam Jin looked bad on main support last year. Bebe is probably going to be more of a coach than a support player. So it's like, how do you judge this team in any way? And that's where I think a lot of people's concerns lie.
yeah, and it's also like you can't take this roster and like speculate about additional signings because quite frankly, I don't think we'll see additional signings to this team given the constraints they're working with, and that's why them signing a third support rather than a second tank player or even like a third damage player is weird. And as Avast covered, it's you signed a flex support that's now a coach as well. It boggles the mind. It boggles
They
the
can
mind.
maybe drop players and add another player. Like that's a possibility. But like that, I mean, that's the even weirder thing too is that DM doesn't play flex support. He's been obviously going to be picked to play flex support, and you hire flex support to be a coach. But it's like, why wouldn't you just, if you were to at least inverse it, why would it make more sense for Bebe to be your flex support player who's actually played flex support recently, and then DM be the coach maybe? But like, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Like in any facet of the imagination, it makes no sense. The support line is literally crack cocaine incarnate. It's actually fucking insanity what this backline is. The backline situation, this is the most fucked up looking backline I've seen in the history of the Overwatch League. Yeah, like 100%. You might be 100%. Yeah. This is the most fucked up backline I've ever seen.
Well, okay. We watched Gangnam Jim Yunbong last year, and then they signed.
No, but they didn't have a flex support. But they did have a flex support as a coach that actually played flex support. While they had a non-flex support player.
Here's the thing. I'm actually going to... I disagree because NYXL signed another flex support who didn't even have the upswing of a coach. They just signed another flex support, which made negative sense. Why don't you just sign a main support? I think NYXL are taking the cake over whatever is happening in the Shanghai.
But DM doesn't play flex support at all, is the thing. He's like, he's literally never played the role. Like, at least, like, yes, New York, I would say... That's the most fucked up part. Gangnam has gone from probably the second most fucked up backline of all time to now the most fucked up backline of all time. Because like
no one's ever gonna let this guy cook ever.
Because it doesn't like they have two. It's not like other backlines where sometimes you've had people that like in the past, like for GOATs, where like you had a support player and then one of the players had to sub in to play like Brigida or something that haven't really played a lot of Brigida. But like this is like two players off rolling essentially. Gangnam plays support, but mostly flex support. Essentially, two players off-rolling when you sign another player that could fill one of the roles, but he's a coach. While before, for New York, it's like we signed a player that could play a role, but it wasn't for the role we needed, but at least they played the role. But also, they weren't a coach. They were literally a sub. This is like, I mean, like, granted, I understand why they did it, because, like, but there's not, you don't even have to have a rostered amount of, like, coaches necessarily, right? You don't have to have a roster, like, a dedicated amount of coaches. So, like,
maybe
why
he wants a coach, for all we know.
Maybe. Yeah,
maybe he's like, I want to transition into coach.
But then if that's the case, I'm like, why? I mean, I could get it. Like, it's like, okay, we want a support coach, perhaps. Like, maybe that's the thing. Maybe they really just want a support coach, just the coach DM for better decision making. And it's like, well, at least we'll get a sub out of it. But I think you're looking into it too much. I literally think they're like, we want 5 players. Bebe, would you like to be a player coach? Because there's plausible deniability that he's actually signed as the 6th man, but he's likely just going to be a coach. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Bebe play 0%, unless DM just sucks. But I don't think he's going to suck.
He might
that
suck.
I guess that's
He
insurance
might suck that
policy, I
much.
suppose.
People are drawing the comparison that like, well, you know, we saw Tiru come in last season for the Spark, and he looked okay, and now
Went through
Tiru got signed as a
contenders.
support.
DM's not played in how fucking long?
Teru went to contenders and played
Holy.
support in contenders, and he did
Yeah.
it before where he played Brig when they needed a Brig player. But Brig is very different to playing flex support. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, he's going to have the mechanics to play flex support. But it's not just about mechanics when you're playing support. Like, it's like, I feel like there's like a mindset and like a skill to like the best flex supports of like understanding how to play it efficiently. And we'll see if DM has that.
We're
with
at
the
the
little
stage-
practice.
We're at the stage of the game now where like that is not gonna fucking fly.
Yeah.
We are however many years into Overwatch, obviously first technical year, right, of like everybody can play Overwatch 2, POG, but like as Overwatch as a game and those roles, yeah, they've changed, they've kind of morphed over the years, but like you can't just get away with that shit anymore. Like players are just too good. Like
All
dude,
flex supports are
fucking-
great mechanically these days.
Yeah, like think of how good flex supports were back in the first year of Overwatch League. You're like, at the time, it was like, holy shit, these guys are freaks. Like, oh my God. But now it's like, damn, okay, they'd probably be kind of mid compared to a lot of players now who are just freaks on mechanics and aim and just like timings and everything else. Like, you just can't get away with this shit anymore. You just can't.
And also, if you want to get
absurd.
away with it, the fact that you have Fleta swapping to
You
tank as
wouldn't
well.
do this. Exactly. You wouldn't have fucking Fleta on tank.
If it was okay, here's the question. If it was like, let's say they had Fate, right, as the tank, a more known quantity, and they didn't have Gangnam Jin, they had a main support. Would you be okay if DM was the only person off rolling into this team?
Yes, I would be fine with that.
So you just don't like that it's multiple.
In that case, yes, I would think in that case, I would trust Moon, because Moon has a respectable career. Like he's a former Coach of the Year candidate. Like he's earned that reputation at this point. Where if he signs DM to be a flex support, I'll be like, all right, I believe you. But doing this at the same time as Fleta is also going tank, and the fact that you have Gangnam Jin going to Lucio and Baby as a player coach, I'm like, okay, holy fuck. Like, what's going on here? Like, this is just too much to process at once. And that's why I'm uneasy about it. It's not about the individual changes. It's about everything all at once.
Which is a great movie.
Yeah, great movie.
Yes, that we can all agree with.
I mean, yeah, I would still be skeptical if DM was on flex support still, but I would be like, okay, well, maybe there's something there. But when you have like everything combined, I'm like, holy shit, how is this if this roster works, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
It is like, if this roster comes together and does well, this is the greatest. Moon wins Coach of the Year easily if this roster works. If this roster works, like is actually good, Moon wins Coach of the Year.
Dude, he's a candidate if this is like mid-table in APAC, man.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. I don't know.
I don't think
agree with
mid-table and
that.
APAC is enough. I don't
Yeah.
think mid-table and APAC is
I
enough.
think if they
it has
finish
to be
like
good.
second and firmly second, and they're competing for wins and stuff like that with the top
Hey man,
teams, then
Get
I'm sure.
Amazed was a Coach of the Year candidate with Paris Eternal. When
Yeah,
they,
because his team was like bad. Like not bad, but they weren't expected to do well at all. Like, but this team at
they
least
also had
has
a pretty easy schedule. Did they really beat
yeah.
them
Like
on Korea
I don't
that
know.
year?
I feel like this team, as I said, I think this team might end up middle of the pack just because Chengdu Hunters exist in the region. Guangzhou Charge. We don't even know what these rosters are. Like they could easily sign something worse than this.
Dude, I don't know what the rumors are with Chengdu, by the way, but people are like, wait till you see the Chengdu roster. I'm like, what do you mean wait till I see the Chengdu roster?
That's an amazing.
What are they going to be putting out there?
That's an
like,
amazing,
Chengdu
like,
A is
rumor.
in the league, and B, what are they putting out there? Like, I'm about to wheel out, like, literally the coughing baby versus hydrogen bomb meme. Like, I need to know, like, what the hell is happening.
Like nothing could surprise us at this point. We saw 2021 Valiant, right? Like that team, if Chengdu Hunters manages to come out with a roster worse than 2021 Valiant, that would be impressive because like they literally signed the worst roster imaginable.
How many maps do they win? They won 2, right? 2 maps.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Valiant won 2 maps?
Yeah, I
The
think
No,
whole
wasn't
year,
it
yeah,
like closer to
something
like
like that, right?
6 or something?
no, I
No
think
fucking.
They won 2 maps.
I don't think they won that many maps. Yeah, they
No,
What season
Valiant
was it?
definitely
3?
won, and it had to be 6 or less maps for that year.
Was it season 3? It was, right?
4, wasn't it?
It was no, so it was season 4.
Season 4, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, because last year they were like.
Oh my
decent
god, they
under
won
No Hill.
2 maps
Like
actually.
season.
Yeah,
Two maps.
two maps.
They won 2 maps.
Literally,
Yeah.
Valiant
Holy
was
fuck.
the worst,
Two maps,
quite possibly
right.
the worst. I mean, it was the worst roster in the Overwatch League history.
Well, it's
It was.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
less than
Which is
Shanghai
amazing
Dragons.
in and of
Yeah.
itself because we had the Shanghai Dragons.
Yeah. But Shanghai Dragons were at least competitive, like in a lot of maps, like in matches. It was crazy they lost 40 in a row, and I think that's probably a mentality thing. But like they took a lot of teams to map 5 in that season. Like Philadelphia Fusion, the runner-up, they sent them to map 5 like 3 times in that season.
Yeah.
You know, Valiant actually, I think Valiant should win an award. I think this couple of year, I think Valiant,
absolutely not. I think we should stop
Valiant should
talking
win an
about
award.
them. We
They
should
should
stop
win an
talking
award
about them.
for being literally the worst franchise in history of any league.
Oh my, that's fair.
I think Valiant has earned that. I think Valiant has earned it. Like, if their roster is like doo-doo dog shit this year, like, and it's actually as bad as it's rumored, like, I think they are 100% the worst participant of any franchise league in esports history.
Shanghai Dragon Season 1. I mean,
No,
they
because
won
Shanghai
that.
put
No.
legitimate effort to turn it
Shanghai
around.
really
True
cared.
effort.
They
And
really
even
cared.
this year, with like less, just very bad circumstances, I would still take the Dragons roster over what the purported Valiant roster might be. You know, like I still think that, like, I think the Valiant is quite possibly the worst franchise. I think we should send them a crowdfund, a giant gold turd to send to the Valiant offices and be like, congratulations, you are the fucking worst ever.
Jokes on
done
you,
it.
they don't have an office.
Yeah, they probably don't have an office, to be fair. There's probably no one to receive it. I don't know who to even get it. Because, like, it's literally just a amorphous entity. So like,
I'm
they're
just
the fucking worst.
imagining like being like a business person for the Valiant, like you're an investor or something, and you're looking for like additional, like, you know, you're talking to business people about, you're like, oh yeah, we own the Los Angeles Valiant. It's a professional franchise in the Overwatch League. It's an up and coming esports league. And then like this person goes and does like due diligence, and it's like LA Valiant results, and it's like they won 2 maps.
They won 2 maps. And they might repeat that again this year. For all we know.
Complete loss of respect. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing with this franchise? It's just unbelievable to me. Yeah. Yeah.
As
and
an
not to
entity, it
speak
is
of
the
them,
worst
you know,
entity.
paying players and all that. Jesus Christ, I want to get into it. Anyway, where we're ranked, the Shanghai Dragons. Are they
Who are we
Vegas
ranking?
Eternal tier?
Whoa,
Seoul
whoa.
Dynasty?
Why is
Wilkinson
Seoul
Justice?
Dynasty in C? What the fuck happened when I wasn't here? Hello?
I don't remember this happening either. When did this
I don't
happen?
remember this happening either.
When did this
put
happen?
Soul in C?
Yeah, when did this happen?
Johnny?
What do you mean?
What do you
when
mean?
did this
What do you
happen?
mean, when did this
What do you
happen?
mean,
You-
when
you-
did this
you-
happen?
You guys were here last week too, except for Custa.
Were we?
I don't remember putting Dynasty in C, do I?
I don't remember that.
Did I put Dynasty
remember
in
them
C?
being.
Oh,
Surely they
basically,
would
if I
be.
recall correctly, the reason why Seoul Dynasty was in C was because Prophet Lil P is a bit of an unknown quantity. Where we
Right.
only pretty much seen
That's
Widowmaker
what it
play.
was.
I
Yeah,
believe,
you're right.
I believe this was before the leaked VODs where Dynasty, it really like their VODs, they inspired some confidence. I will say that. Krillin on main support.
They have a
bit of an
good
unknown
team. They
quantity.
have Void, Krillin.
And they
Prophet.
don't have a main tank player. They only have Void. And so we put them in C together with Washington Justice because there are quite a few question marks. We respect their players. But Soul Infernal, we feel like they are like a proper team. Like they are a respectable team in that regard.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, actually, no, I knee jerked, but that's true. Because also the rumors when we did this at the time, Custa, when we did this at the time, the rumors were Krillin's support was so bad that it was tanking this team internally as well.
And
That
I
was
will
like-
say his Lucio might have been that from watching the scrims. But
I cannot believe this.
I will say, after watching the late scrims, because we've had additional information at our disposal, I will permit us to move this team up to B if you guys watch the late scrims. And I thought that looked pretty impressive in the late scrims. We have more information available now. I think they looked pretty good, so I'd be willing to move them up to low B.
I would like to see Seoul Dynasty moved into low B, please. I would like
So
to
here's the thing:
start
are
a
you doing
motion.
this solely based off scrims or the roster, Scott?
No, just the roster. Like I think even
You really
at-
think Krillin main
I think
support
even
and
at-
Oh my god.
I think
okay,
I think
I'm
at
just
their
gonna speak
worst-
for Custa. I watched his stream yesterday, and he thought that Lil P and Big P is a better DPS duo than Zest and MN3. That is off the goop to me.
Yeah, I agree. I would take Prophet and Prophet over MN3 and Zest.
That to me is crazy, Custa. That is a great
I would take
Plat
it.
chat.
I would take it. Because here's the thing. I think Prophet has a lot of upswing potential, like on the hit scan, and I think Prophet is the greatest player of all time. So I would take it over MN3 and Zest. I think MN3 is overhyped based on him having like 3 good matches in the thing, and everyone only hyper focuses on that. And that's my thing. I think Zest is a great player. And so it's kind of like, would I take MN3 or Prophet? But I'm going to give Prophet. Fuck me, this is going to be a hard.
That's not going to be possible. It's not possible. Little P, Big P. Little P, Big P.
I'm going to choose Prophet over Zest. And then it's like, is MN3 that much better than what my assumption of Prophet is going to be? And that's where it gets difficult. I think it's an interesting conversation, but I would go for the Soul Dynasty DPS line just because of Prophet. With an eye.
No, I don't think so.
Mr. Soul Curry over here.
I don't think I would do it. I don't think I would do it, but I'm going to be... But the thing is that the only reason I've doubted Souls because I've only seen Prophet Little P. I've only seen Little P on like one fucking hero ever. So... And granted, I guess you could argue that a lot of MN3's play time was on Sojourn. So
okay, okay, let's dig deeper in this because we got CMB. Void or Mag? Obviously you only have one of them. So it's main tank or off tank. Who would you rather have, Void or Mag?
Yeah, it's Void.
Okay, Lee Soo-min and Fixer. Fixer wasn't that impressive last year. Lee Soo-min is an interesting prospect coming out of...
Well, okay, but wait. I think we were skipping over Mag.
Fixer.
Mag has main tank potentials, which are generally pretty meta across the board.
And he plays Junker Queen, and he still plays Junker Queen.
His Junker Queen is not bad. I don't know. I think if I had to make a pick, I would rather have you can make more comps with a main tank player than you can make with an off tank player only, in my opinion.
You're saying you would rather have Mag as your only tank than Void as your only tank.
As an example, I'd rather have Void Winston over like Mag Zarya.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but the point being is like I think I can make more comps work when I have a good Winston, Rhine, Ball, Orisa, and also remember Mag can play Junker Queen. Those 5 heroes allow you to build a lot of comps. You essentially just lose out.
Garbage though.
I know, but the point being, it's not about that Queen being good. It's not about Queen being good. It's more so you can build more comps with that than you can build with only having a Zarya, Diva, and fucking like Hog. You can build way more comps around that player. Everyone remember False? Remember False for the Vancouver Titans? Because that fucking, like, they couldn't make anything work because they didn't have a main tank player. And they got Mirror, and they're like, well, Mirror, I guess we're just going to play fucking Orisa.
Hey, did you say False and Void are the same person? Like, the same beast?
But that's not the point. That's not the point, though.
I know the point of, like, the roles of what you're talking about. But this is Void that we're talking about. We know how good Void is. Like,
not on fucking main tank.
Have we watched Mag play anything that he's not comfortable on? The man has done a bunch of drunk driving in his time.
But
on
the thing is that
he
can at least like you can build more comps around it. Like I don't like having this is actually an inverse. I going into Overwatch 2 was like I'd rather have an off tank player, right? But coming out, I've seen so far of Overwatch 2, historically, the team that has a player that can play fucking main tank is generally in a pretty good vibe.
I agree with you on that.
They're generally in a much better situation than the teams that don't have a main tank player. So I would still take Mag over Void, not because he's better, but because it makes the team work more. Now, Void could be really good at main tank, and it could be objectively the right call, but at face value, I'd rather have the team that can play main tanks.
Okay, here's the problem that we face. And it's actually, yes, I see that New York announced their rosters, okay? You calm the fuck down, we're talking about something here. Sit down and don't rock the fucking boat, chat. Here's the problem we face, okay? If we put Soul Dynasty in B, it almost warrants us to elevate Washington Justice into B2.
No!
That is my concern.
Wait, no, what? Why?
Because they have a well-rounded team for all roles, and they have Flora and they have Alpha Yi. I think that like they're a solid team in that regard.
They have FD God, pretty good main
FD
support.
God, Teru, flex support, all right. Like that's I'm not saying it's a great team. I'm saying it's a proper team. It's an actual team, right? I just worry about the precedent.
I think I would potentially take. I might potentially take the Justice backline over the Dynasty backline.
Oh my!
Yeah.
You would rather have Tiro and FD God over
Lisumin and Krillin?
We are just everyone's remembering the times that Terry went into the backline and went fucking crazy and forgetting the times that he like
I'm not remembering that.
We also have not seen any Teru flexibility in the league.
His Kiriko and contenders were still pretty decent. It didn't just only go to backline and kill.
But Krillin, like, okay, here's the thing. Yes, I understand Krillin might have to play Lucio. He might suck at it. We don't know, right? But like, Krillin is a great flex support, right? Like when he was able to play it, he was popping off. Lee Sumin is a great prospect coming out of contenders. One of the better flex support.
Come on. If you're gonna talk shit about Tiro Kiriko, what did Lee Sumin do that was so impressive?
But you're trying to put like Teru as FD. He's like, oh, he's done well in the league. I don't agree with that. And like FD God really struggled in the league the last time we saw him play. Yes, he's a great Lucio, fundamentally true, but like, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. Am I on crazy pills?
But FD God's also had periods where he's done really well in the league, like when he was with Paris.
Yeah. Okay. Like 3 years ago.
When was the last? I mean, I don't know. I feel like we can extend that. Bro. I think we can extend that to when was the last? Like, I think we can extend that to a little. Well, no. To be fair, Krillin, he did play kind of recently. It was pretty decent. So, like, I don't know. I overall, I still feel better about it because I just don't trust the Krillin. Like, there are two things that scare me.
The Krillin Lucio was horrible in scrims.
People playing Lucio like that don't play Lucio, and people playing main tank that don't play with main tank. Those two transitions are the scariest transitions. Like, if we're players.
But hear me out. What if they just play Sigma double flex support everywhere,
dude,
and just fucking hey, don't ask questions, just do it.
I'm so sad because it seems like you didn't watch the scrims. I watched the scrims, guys. I watched the scrims. I have so much valuable information here on the podcast. They actually looked fucking bonkers when they play like Void Diva and Krillin Ana and Lee Sumin Kiriko. That comp was scary. That looked
okay, if they don't play main support, I'm willing to give Seoul Dynasty the absolute edge. If they do not play main support for the entirety of the Overwatch League, Seoul Dynasty is by far and away the better backline. Okay, you guys win. Okay, you've won. What a great argument here. What a great argument. If they just don't play the fundamental hero to the game,
we did.
They are the better backline.
I've got a proposal. That could potentially make us all feel a little bit better.
That's not going to make me feel better. I don't think it makes me feel better.
Unless.
So what do we do here?
No, because
this is a very important question.
Okay, because here's my problem: is I think Seoul is like third or fourth in APAC, right? That's my thing. So it's like it's hard to put them in C unless we're just going to put everyone in APAC and C and D except for Dallas and Spark, which are going to be in like S and A. Like,
I mean, kind of, yeah. APAC kind of sucks.
Chasm? Like,
I don't think APAC's that good this year.
Yeah, I agree, but I still think Seoul and like I think Seoul is better than Washington, and I think both Seoul teams I would put over Washington at this point.
Okay, you think both should go over Washington?
Yeah,
man.
I think in B tier. I'm not saying it's a massive chasm, but I think putting the quality of players that like Seoul Dynasty does have and their history and their experience, I think is just.
Okay, you know what? I'll cede it just because, like, I mean, whatever. You know, fuck it. You know, like, let's do it. Like, let's put them both in there. I think it's a toss up, but I can see the argument for them both being in B tier. I can see the argument. I can't see the argument right now. But the problem is like, but Justice have Alpha E and Flora, and they have like a pretty.
Flora didn't look good last year. What are you talking about?
That's true. Flora did not look good. Yeah.
Is the only is the one thing about Washington. I'm like. I fuck with this. Like
yeah, you know what?
Like
yeah, actually, I'll live with it. I'll accept it. Bring them both to B.
Fuck it.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Well, okay, who else are we ranking?
We're Dragons. We're ranking the Shanghai Dragons.
Dragons are C. Dragons are C. There's no way they belong out.
Yeah, you're right.
There's literally no way they belong out.
The Dragons roster comparable to Washington Justice
that
has
they're I think they'd probably be. I think they're probably going to be worse than Justice in a lot of metas, but they might potentially be better than Justice in certain metas.
That's the thing. You don't fucking know how good the Flare tank. No.
No, fuck off. No,
Revert
I think
revert
the
that.
Dragons are below
Yeah.
Justice, but they
They're
have
bottom
variants.
seed.
They have
Yes.
variants.
Because I think if we
Tank
put
could go
Washington and B, when we start
sick.
looking at some of these other West teams, it's going to get really fucky.
No backline of DM and Gongam Lucio should be higher than C. It should not. It should not. It simply should. No. I refuse. Gongam Lucio DM fucking. They should not be higher than C. No,
I'd
we
even
can't.
put them here until like proven otherwise. But
No,
I don't
but
know.
I think you can't
No,
put those
no.
players
Can't
in the
put 'em
same
there.
tier as the Vegas
put 'em there.
Eternal.
Yeah.
Hey,
Can't put 'em
unless
there.
we add another tier and we move Vegas down another letter.
Can't put them there.
We
Any team that
we
loses
have
Samito does
talked
not
about
go
that.
above the same tier.
We
as
might
Dragons.
add one
It just
more
won't
tier.
happen.
It might be.
Yeah,
deserved.
but let's leave it like this for now, and then we'll reconsider the tier list at another time.
Okay. So this happened apparently.
I saw it. Wow. This sort of
You have the
white-
world's slowest internet.
Yes, as people can watching the video can tell, my webcam is not operating quite great. New York Excelsior introducing your NYXL roster for
Dude, this
the
video
season.
costs more than the roster.
Kellan, Fitz, Shockwave, Psycho, Halo, Lep, Onion, Creative. Yeah, apparently this video is sick.
It is a cool video.
I mean, we've said it before. The branding for New York Excelsior has always been sick. Been cool.
Yeah. Wow.
I have some questions.
this is essentially
so-
what we've been assuming for a long time.
This
right?
is this is pretty close to the roster that's been.
This is
rumored
the
for a while.
Scrabble
They're
bag.
sponsors, United Airlines, still. Augers.
And
Oh.
Let's go.
But
Does
Alan
anyone-
Fitz. How
4
the fuck did
supports,
Alan
3 damage
Fitz
players,
get
1
here?
tank.
Yeah, that's wacky.
Well,
So okay, so they're from calling. They're from
yeah, Halo and
Blitz.
Anion are from Calling All Heroes.
And okay, I see. Yeah, I know Halo because they were a player. I should say they were a player that played for Boston Uprising at one point in the Overwatch League.
Yes.
So I do know Halo. I wasn't familiar with Anion. Lep we know from the Houston Outlaws and before that, and we know Shockwave and Psycho.
Yeah.
And then we know all these players. Legit. Okay, I'm gonna be real
Yeah.
with you. The DPS line of Fitz, Shockwave, Psycho is not awful.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Kellen has moments. It's not very good, but moments.
It's what we went
Creative
through
is kind of a
last year.
nutcase.
Yeah, it's the same as NYXL last year. I think it's a great
Like, what are we
example of
doing?
like NYXL last year of like, I don't know how this team works together. And that's my fear. And the rumors are that they don't have a translator currently.
Of course. As
So,
is tradition.
which makes it very difficult to talk to each other. So I don't really know what's going on with this roster. I think on paper, they have good players that you would look at and you'd be like, oh, there's history there. Like Fitz is a great player. Kellen's had his moments. But like, I don't see how this roster is gonna
Yeah,
mesh.
gonna
And if you
work.
would watch,
Yeah.
if you've watched the scrim that came, obviously very early scrims thing, they look lost as well. They look like they're not able to communicate with each other.
It should
I'm
actually
willing.
be illegal to not have a translator on a team.
It
with-
really should.
Yeah.
Okay,
just,
hold on.
like,
we don't know if this
We
is
don't
the
know.
case.
Yeah,
We don't
the
actually
rumor-
Okay.
know. We don't know.
Sure.
I don't want to throw that out there.
Let's
that they don't
not
have a
assume.
translator
Let's not
because we don't
assume
know
that.
that.
But that's rough as fuck. If,
It does.
if
It
that's
sucks.
the
I
case.
mean, Boston season 1, we didn't have a translator for the first like 2/3 of the season, and it was brutal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we had our manager spoke English and Korean, but he was not an official translator. So like it was like sometimes tough. Like not having a translator on a mixed roster if like your players aren't able to communicate in a third party language, like generally English, it's like pretty bad. It can really fuck you up. So
Yeah. That's rough.
but just the mere fact that I'm about to consider putting Fitz, Shockwave, and like Creative in a C tier position is like painful to me. Because especially Fitz and Creative, oh my god, they've been
Mhm.
so good. They've been so good these past couple years.
Yeah,
This is this is this is hell. This is hell. I'm looking at hell.
yeah, I
I'm
think
looking
I
at
think
hell.
I would
Creative
say
pretty
this is
good.
a better team than. Well, it's not hard to reach that milestone, but this is a better team.
No,
than
this
last
team
year.
should not be better. Well, I guess they actually have a main support player.
Yeah,
So-
so better than the last year's NYXL.
Who's the head
Which is-
coach?
Don't know.
Did they announce that as well? Is that below this tweet?
Yeah, that's actually quite important to know.
Because I
They
think that's an
doesn't-
important like detail in this
Yeah.
like.
I didn't think of that before I put team preview New York.
Scroll
here.
down, Johnny. Do they tweet? Sometimes teams tweet below their. main
Changoon
tweet,
is
but-
rumored.
Oh right.
Oh my gosh! The goon, not the goon. I mean, this is like I don't know. Honestly, this is the most Chang'un roster possible.
This is a good project for him.
What do you mean this is a good project? What do you mean by that?
I feel like he can get away with a lot of subs because we don't know who should be played when.
No.
But let's be real. I don't think many of these. I don't think like what is Anyun's like experience at a high level. They have any experience at a high level? Halo has been out of the professional scene for a bit, but they have played in the Overwatch League. Like, is there really a lot of subbing to be done? Realistically,
I gotta be
like
this is improv. I didn't give myself time to prep for this because this is just improv team preview. I don't know.
Like Kellen, there's no sub.
Yeah.
Fitz, Shockwave, Psycho. I'd feel confident running that as a DPS in the Overwatch League. I'd
Yeah,
feel confident as a
creative
DPS.
anyway,
You
it's- yeah. Sure.
And Lep Creative
And-
played on Houston Outlaws together,
Yeah,
right?
Lep and Creative. They
And
had
then
like.
Lep
I
got
mean,
benched by
honestly.
Jake.
The rumor is that the rumor is that
Oh, yeah.
Halo and Anyun, I remember, were also like essentially going to be shuffled into like a Calling All Heroes roster for New
Yeah.
York.
Like a
Right.
two-way
That was
contract.
another rumor.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a two-way type of contract. So, I mean, there might not be any subbing that really gets done for this team potentially. Because if you remove those two players, you essentially have just a roster right there. You essentially have like a 6-man roster. So I don't know. I have a hard time. I'm just gonna say it. I don't think this team should be above C though.
Yeah. I think
He's a
they
very
need to
mid
prove
team.
to us that they're a better team than we
Yeah.
give them
If
credit
they
for.
just signed a decent off-tank player, I feel so much more comfortable because it was painful last year. And I even said, if you go back and look at like the tactical crouch like rookie preview for last season or something, I was high on Kellan. I think most people were pretty high on Kellan going in because I think he had a very respectable Winston and Wrecking Ball. It's just like when you're forcing Kellan to play like freaking Zarya and shit. Like, what are we doing here? Like, you're ruining this player's career because you're forcing him onto like Zarya, which is clearly not his comfort role. And so I just would hate to see that again. Like, this team desperately needs an off-tank player because Kellan deserves it. But
Yeah, here's the thing. I think if you put this roster under a different tag, and like you take all the shit about NYXL and everything that's happened this offseason out of the window, and you just like announced like the Kellen, Fitz, Psycho, Shockwave, Lep Creative, I think we would be okay with it. And I think I would be more on board. I think it's just everything behind that is influencing my decision of like, I just don't trust this roster or this like organization to make it work, especially with how heavily they fumbled last year. They had a good roster last year that won like 3 games or something like that. That's a crazy result considering the quality of roster they had. So I think I consider them exactly like I did last year. They have to prove to me that they're not going to suck.
yeah. Really happy that Shockwave is back in the league. Been a big fan of his even since Vancouver Titans days when he popped off. Great moments. Fitz as well, perpetually. I would say going into the playoffs, he was one of the most underrated players in the league, but I feel like he's kind of rated now. We know what Fitz is. I feel like he gets his fair share of praise. So, and another opportunity for Psycho as well, who didn't really get the opportunity to play his best last year. So gets a second try here. So I'm actually quite excited about this New York roster. But yeah, would love to see another off tank in that regard. Let's rank New York real quick here. If Chang'un is the coach of this team, where do we put New York Excelsior?
In C for sure. Where in C? Probably above Dragons. I'd say in between Dragons and no, actually
God.
no. I'd
Is
say
this team better than
above
Dragons?
Washington. Just dude with creative and fits.
I think it might be, honestly. It might be better than Dragons. Yeah.
better than Dragons, but I'd say they're on par with Justice right now. Again,
I see. Here's the thing. I actually think this is where I'm having a problem with our tier list of like so constrained because I don't think Washington and New York should be in the same tier.
where
Really?
should Washington
I mean,
go? You
come
think
on,
it should
they're
go?
not-
I think
Justice
New
should
York.
be
I
way
think
better.
Washington should be higher.
You think?
You know
yeah.
what? Put them into B? Put them into B?
I will say, I mean, the tier list is just to add a little bit of spice. Like, we're making the actual 1 through 20 later. This is just for a bit of meme spice. going
Okay,
into
but
that.
then I want to put what. Here's the thing. I feel like B is like. I'm not in love with it perfectly, but it's a known quantity. While C is just
good.
like, I don't
It's
know what the
okay.
fuck this is.
But I mean,
So I wanna move-
you say that you don't think that Washington and New York should be in the same tier, but I think I don't I don't hate that they are like Washington top of C, New York at bottom of C. Like I don't think they're
New York
too
bottom of
different.
C? No way, bro. They're better than Dragons.
Well, I don't think they're too different. New York
I don't
and
think.
Washington.
Yeah, I think they are. I'm not.
New York's roster makes more sense, but also they can't talk to each other. So that's like that's a distinct.
Yeah, like I don't know.
liability.
Like I just feel like New York has so many negatives against it. Like we were talking, like we didn't even consider New York when we were talking about the Pro-Am, but like Washington, we said has a chance. Like is like a pretty solid team, and they could do pretty well. Give it a certain thing. Like I feel like
okay, I'm willing
New York
I'm
are
willing
also
to move
playing
Justice
Toronto, Houston.
up.
So
I'm willing to move Justice up. I think to B, to bottom of B.
I will explore adding one more.
I think we could move Justice up to the bottom of B, honestly.
Yeah.
But then New York stays below Dragons. Below. Yeah. Because the more I think about it, A, like this, I have no expectations for this franchise, and B, they can't talk to each other. Have no communication.
Yeah, the not being out the comms bit is a bit of a
Comms bit is very strong.
If they comm well, dude, if they're on the same level playing field, I'd take New York over Dragons, honestly.
yeah, I
If there
agree
was
with this
no
right now.
comms issues.
Okay. Yeah, as I said, not set in stone. We're just having a little bit of fun here before the official power rankings going into the season.
We have fun here. We have
fun here. We pride ourselves on having fun and creating entertainment on this podcast, and we hope you
By the
enjoy
way,
it.
in 13 minutes, I have a doctor's appointment. So I have to do a telehealth
all
in
right,
13
all
minutes.
right. Enter late, leave early. It's all good. Yeah. I mean, fuck it. We could end it here. We had London Spitfire to preview too, but I mean, we could. I don't know.
They also
Well, I mean, do we wanna
London
do the
hasn't
rest of
officially
the-
announced their roster as well.
Yeah, London technically. I mean, technically, Skairipa has had a punishment before he's been announced.
I was going to assume that, but we could leave it at a 2-hour 30 podcast, and honestly, I'd be fine with it. So maybe we'll save London Spitfire for next week or something.
Yeah.
2 hours 30. That's pretty decent content for a week. So I'm not mad at that at all. We'll save London Spitfire for some other time, and we ran through New York Excelsior in their stead pretty quickly. So there you go. Brent's player of the week. Before we go, before the doctor's appointment and this scuffed episode of Plat Chat, that was pretty fun, guys. We had some good bands. Some good bands and some good rants, disagreements.
We did.
Some rants.
Yeah.
I mean, I will submit, Custa, you have activated my frontal neurons with the Soul Dynasty argument, but the mirror, it's just the Krillin main support and Prophet has played.
It's not
one
flawless.
hero essentially in contenders for a team that was dominating everybody. Like, I don't know, that's a hard sell for, and the same thing with Lisu Min. It's like, you know, like just on a better team than everybody else. Like, but I will say, if they don't play main support, that team is objectively a better backline than Fusion. Sure, they don't play main support.
I don't know. I just like that team. They still got Toby as head coach. I don't know. Maybe they could just suck. But I agree. It'll be interesting. I'm excited to see the Pro-Am this week because we'll finally get some answers on some of these teams. And there's a toilet bowl. So what's not to look forward to?
Oh, so much.
That is a good post. That is a good
Have
post.
you guys given any thought into the increasing femboyization of the Overwatch League?
I'm down. It's fun.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's not just
I
the
think this is
Overwatch
what we
League. It
need.
happens all over the place, you know? Like Sneaky's leading the charge. Everyone's just following.
Oh,
Well, no, but I'm saying I think
Sneaky,
we're
dude.
currently the esport with the most active like femboy cosplays in the pro players and like big like names.
That is true.
You know?
And
Do you think that
wait,
adds
isn't
to
it
our
only
scene?
Shy and Gushway now, and they're both on the same team?
No, Linksa.
Oh yeah, Linksa as well. Yeah,
And then
Right.
Super technically, I can't remember if
Isn't
he
Linksa
did
on
them
that
while he
team
was
as
in the
well?
league. Yeah, I mean, there could be an entire. Wait, do we have a femboy team?
I think we have a femboy team.
The first femboy team? Femboy Hooters is real.
Okay,
Let's
we
go.
gotta put him in SS tier now. you
Let's
know.
go. The femboy team just dropped.
Oh my god.
Custa Mercy.
Oh, yo,
Custom Mercy.
time to move to Hangzhou. I'm in. Honestly, it's where I'll feel comfortable.
Should we give it to dude? Let's give it to Spark. Fuck it, dude.
Yeah, give it to Spark,
Let's
the
get
first femboy team.
Femboy, the Hangzhou Femboys.
Yeah,
There you go.
we're definitely not getting in trouble for this.
Put it in the Excel doc. It's finalized.
The
There you
Excel
go.
doc.
Bren's players of the week. This one's for you, Bren. Love you, buddy. Hope you're having a good time. Great. I'm sure he'll be thrilled when he finds out. There you go.
Them boy Hooters.
Yeah. Look at us go. Plat Chat, episode 170. We'll see you next week after the first week of Pro-Am play. We'll do some additional team previews. Let's enjoy Pro-Am, the start of Overwatch League in 2023. And we'll see how that goes. And we'll discuss the platform we're on and stuff like that.
Can't wait to see who's working the event. That's going to be crazy.
That will be crazy.
That will be
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
That will be crazy.
Yeah.
If I'm well enough, I'll be co-streaming it, but I don't know where.
Okay.
So
I'll be
look
with
out
you.
for Avast co-stream.
on an
somewhere.
unspecified platform.
Yeah.
That could be
Undisclosed
anywhere.
location.
It probably ends in, Avast somewhere. But we'll see where. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you for episode 171 next week.